For the first time since 2007, the Washington State Cougars welcome the Air Force Falcons to Bailey-Brayton Field in a monumental weekend series as both teams try to climb the steep slope of the Mountain West Conference standings. And hello and welcome, Davis Hagen alongside Smith Slye. Thrilled to have you with us for this presentation of Cougar Baseball on KUGR. Washington State has dropped 5 in a row going back to last week when they went down to California and lost to UC Davis in a midweek game and then got swept by the Fresno State Bulldogs. Then on Tuesday of this week, Smith and I were fortunate enough to call that game. They lost to the Bulldogs of Gonzaga in a heartbreaking extra innings ball game, 7-6. But there were a lot of positives to come out of that game. And Smith, we called that game Tuesday, and there were a lot of ups and a lot of downs, but mostly a positive game, even though the result was not in Washington State's favor. What did you take away from Tuesday, and what can Washington State bring into this weekend?
Well, yeah, I mean, super close game. As we mentioned, went to extra innings. It was the Bulldogs were able to come away with that one 7-6. And really, at the end of the day, the Cougs did everything, almost everything right in that game. They hit the ball really well. They put up 9 hits, and that's about what they're averaging. So they kind of hit their quota in terms of the hit department. Did those hits come at opportune times? Not particularly. There were a lot of runners left on base, a lot of opportunities where they could have cashed in, and they didn't. And that's part of the reason why they weren't able to kind of run away with that one. And they were kept really close by the Bulldogs. They were only able to put up 6. Pitching-wise, great pitching performance. It was going to be a bullpen day because you got this series coming up. It's a Mountain West Conference series. This is where you're going to want to lean on your starters. So they had Jake Tedesco going in that Gonzaga game. He put together a really quality outing, went 4 innings. They're going to pull him. He's not a starter. He's not expected to go that far. So he put up 4 quality innings. They leaned on guys like Bryce Chambers, who came in and was really locked down, proving why he's a quality arm. They had Rylan Hyder come in, do a pretty good job as well. So in the pitching department, it was a really great day from the Cougs. I mean, in a day that was going to be a bullpen day, a lot of times those games for the Cougs where they've had to lean on their bullpen a lot has been where they've lost baseball games, and they did lose that one against Gonzaga, but it definitely was not the the fault of the pitching of the bullpen for the Cougs. That was not why they lost that game. It was because they weren't able to really cash in some opportunities where they probably had runners on base and could have scored them. And then, of course, also really at the end of the day, it came down to Jonah Scholl was had an error in left field in the top of the 10th, which set up a runner on third base, suicide squeeze opportunity, which the Bulldogs were able to capitalize on. So again, like at the end of the day, it was a good game overall by the Cougs. Just 1-2 mistakes here and there was what kind of sealed their fate in the end. But a lot of, like you mentioned, a lot of great positives. The hitting was really great, just not at the right times, and the pitching was really, really great. And you got Luke Myers starting today, and then you have those guys who had really good outings on Tuesday, possibly coming up to back him up in today's game as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if you see a really good pitching performance out of Luke Myers and a good bullpen day as well.
That loss dropped Washington State to 15-28 overall, 8-13 in the Mountain West still. That was not a conference game, so even though they did lose that game, it doesn't hurt them that much, but they need to pick up wins in these next couple of weekend series. This weekend, they get to play the Air Force Falcons, who are currently 7th in the Mountain West, but really they're tied for 5th with UNLV, San Jose State, and then themselves there, all 9-12. And Washington State sitting at 8th, dead last in the Mountain West, but 8-13, one game behind all of those teams, kind of in that bottom to middle section of the Mountain West. And all they have to do is get into the top 6 to make the Mountain West postseason. This is a really big series, and then next weekend against UNLV, but this series in particular, because Air Force sitting at 7th, Washington State trying to jump them in the standings, the all-time series. And I mentioned that this is the first time Air Force has come in since 2007. The all-time series tied at 2-2. This year, Air Force has already beaten Washington State once in a series. That was early in March this year. A 2-1 victory in the series overall for the Air Force Falcons. It was alternating wins, and the first 2 games were played in Pueblo, Colorado. Due to weather, it got moved to Pueblo instead of Colorado Springs, the normal home for the Air Force Falcons. Still very close to their home diamond, but then the third game of the series got moved to Colorado Springs, and the Falcons did win that game as well. And they kind of got boat raced in a lot of those games. There was a lot of scoring coming across. And this game and this series is going to be interesting to see how Washington State's pitching staff can try to keep those numbers down.
Absolutely. I think if there was a team for the Cougs to be able to get a series win or possibly a series sweep, it would be Air Force. They're, like you mentioned, they're right there with them in terms of the Mountain West standings. And this is a Coug team that at the start of the year was projected to finish 3rd in the Mountain West. And like you mentioned, they're now looking up at every other team in the Mountain West and dead last. It's not the place where the Cougs necessarily saw themselves when they started out this year. And you know, you got this series, and you got UNLV, and you got SDSU again. So you're kind of running out of opportunities in terms of picking up conference wins. So, you know, in baseball, like to say, it starts with today. It starts with this game right here. It starts with a win right here, and then it's, you know, then it will start with a win tomorrow, and then it will start with a win on Sunday. So for the Cougs, it's really about just trying to take advantage of the fact that the Air Force is not necessarily the strongest team in the Mountain West. They're not the best hitting team. They're not the best pitching team. They're I believe the worst fielding team in the Mountain West Conference. So these are kind of, you know, technically weaknesses you can kind of exploit in this series. But it definitely comes down to them being able to finish and being able to play a full 9 innings of baseball. That's been an issue for the Cougs kind of all year, is they'll play a solid 7 innings or a solid 8 innings, but then, you know, you get into the 8th, you get into the 9th, and things kind of start to go a little haywire. So they just got to play a full 9 innings if they want to win this game.
Luke Myers will start on the mound for Washington State, 10th in the Mountain West in ERA with a 5.91. Then first base, Ryan Shonsby. Second base, Luke Thiel. Shortstop, Gavin Roy. Third base, Kyler Northrup. Left fielder, Jonah Scholl. Center fielder, Logan Johnstone. Right fielder, Ollie Obenauer. And his battery mate for Luke Myers, Will Cresswell. And leading off for the Air Force Falcons, the center fielder, Chase Spencer. And the first pitch is grounded to third. Northrup makes the field, the fire across the diamond, and that is a little bit high, but the stretch made by Shonsby, and the first out of the game is recorded on the very first pitch. And the batting order for the Falcons, you just heard Chase Spencer ground out to third there, and then Walker Zapp, the catcher, will be batting second. The right fielder, Zach Peters, batting third. Designated hitter, Trip Garrish, batting fourth. The left fielder, Christian Taylor, batting fifth. The first baseman, Luke Elmore, batting sixth. Batting seventh, the third baseman, Alex Adams, batting eighth. The second baseman, TJ Oster, and batting ninth, the shortstop, Ben Niednagel. And that'll bring up the catcher, Walker Zapp. So this entire batting order for the Air Force Falcons, not necessarily their best season either, but a really young team for the Falcons after graduating most of their team from last year that was the regular season Mountain West champions. First pitch to Zapp is low and outside for ball one. So the first pitch of the day gets swung on and then chopped to third, and Spencer gets out. So a 1-0 count to Walker Zapp. Pitch from Myers and a ground ball foul down the third baseline. Northrup was ready for it if it was going to come to him, so he's already busy today. And a guy that had a really nice game on Tuesday, extended his hitting streak to 16 games. He and Gavin Roy have really stepped up when Logan Johnstone has gone cold in the last 3 games, 0 for 4 in each of them, and then Max Hartman, dealing with some injury problems, has been out of the lineup. 1-1 pitch to Zapp is high for ball 2.
Hartman's a bat that you're really missing in this lineup if you're the Cougs. He was the leadoff hitter. Now it's Gavin Roy, but you just got to make do without Hartman. When you get him back, you're going to probably see these Cougs get hot.
2-1 pitch from Myers to Zapp. Swing and a miss, and that's strike number 2. And so no score here in the top of the first inning. Washington State and Air Force in game 1 of the weekend series. Fireworks night tonight, so if the fans here stick around, they're going to catch some fireworks after the game, but hopefully some Cougar fireworks during the game. A 2-2 pitch. Did he go? They're going to say he did, and it's strike number 3 to Zapp, and he'll go to the dugout. So 2 up and 2 down so far for Air Force.
Good start so far for Luke Myers. I mean, you get a first pitch swinging ground out to Kyler Northrup. You just pick up the strikeout there. So, I mean, Luke Myers is all about being efficient, and if he can put together some just efficient inning after efficient inning, and you try and stop the Cougs from going to your bullpen a little bit, then you could see the Cougs maybe squeaking out a win here.
That'll bring up the right fielder, Zach Peters, batting third for the Falcons. This one skied into center field. Johnstone gets the line drive catch, and that will end the inning in 3 batters. No runs, no hits, no errors, nobody left on for the Falcons. We'll head to the bottom of the first. It's still 0-0, and you're listening to Cougar Baseball on KUGR. Zero ball game heading to the bottom of the first inning. The Cougar bats getting ready to go, and on the mound for the Air Force Falcons, Davis Ryan will be the starting pitcher, standing at 6'5". His battery mate is Zapp, who was the second batter that struck out swinging in the top of the first. Then at first is Elmore, second Oster, shortstop Neednagel, and third is Adams, the left fielder Taylor, center fielder Spencer, and the right fielder Peters for the Air Force Falcons. And then the Cougar batting order, the shortstop Gavin Roy batting first, batting second the right fielder Ollie Obenauer, batting third the center fielder Logan Johnstone, batting fourth the catcher Will Cresswell, batting fifth the first baseman Ryan Shonsby, batting sixth the second baseman Luke Thiel, batting seventh the designated hitter Griffin Myers, who's getting the start today after a really good string of games for the Cougars, and then batting eighth the left fielder Jonah Scholl, and batting ninth the third baseman Kyler Northrup. It's good to see Griffin Myers in the 7 spot for Washington State. He's graduating tomorrow, so this is an exciting weekend for him.
Absolutely, yeah. He's a redshirt junior, so like you mentioned, he's going to be graduating. He's a guy who, if you listen to the This Week in Cougar Baseball podcast, Nathan Schultz really likes him. He's a Coug through and through, and his family are Cougs as well. So I'd like to see this guy getting a start here in the Air Force Series before he leaves.
Gavin Roy will lead off the at-bats of the day for Washington State, going against Davis Ryan on the mound. The first pitch is a little bit high for ball 1 to Gavin Roy.
Gavin Roy a bit on the shorter side, so not the biggest strike zone. So some of those pitches might just barely miss up on him a little bit.
1-0 count against the shortstop. Wind down the fire on the 1-0, and it is fouled off backwards, and the count will go to 1-1. So 0-0 ball game. Bottom of the first now, after it was a 3-up, 3-down inning for the Air Force Falcons in their half, and now we're into the Washington State half. Gavin Roy, 4 hits in Tuesday's game. Really sensational player for Washington State. 1-1 pitch to Roy, and he takes that one high for ball 2.
He's really filling out the leadoff spot for the Cougs. Originally, it was Max Hartman who was the leadoff man, but with him, injured right now, you got Gavin Roy, and he's been doing a great job just starting off these ball games for the Cougs.
2-1 count for Roy. Ryan with the offering, and it's grounded to short. Niednagel picks it up, fires it across the diamond, and that's the first out of the inning on the 6-3 ground out for Gavin Roy. That'll bring up the right fielder, Ollie Obenauer, who has definitely had his luck against Air Force. He had a 5-hit game earlier this year, and that's only the 5th time that's happened since 1995. So he's definitely knows he can hit against his team. Obenauer stands in righty on righty for this matchup. Pitch from Ryan comes in, and that's strike 1 over the heart of the plate for Ollie Obenauer, playing right field. And we were talking about it on Tuesday, but played such a great year, really, at second base. And then after a couple injuries and players performing, Luke Thiel doing a good job at second. The next offering swung and miss from Ollie Obenauer, but now moved out to right field. What have you liked about his opportunities in right field opposed to his second base opportunities?
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, baseball is a sport where you got to get as many people in, as many quality bats as you can. So if it works, having him in right field, I mean, it works to get the best bats out there for the Cougs. And I'd say, not to say that outfield's easy to play, but as opposed to second base, right field's a bit of an easier job. And he's an athlete, so he gets it done. And he's been phenomenal so far out and right.
That pitch misses outside by quite a bit. So it's a 1-2 count. Then the next pitch is grounded straight back up to center field, and Ollie Obenauer gets aboard with a base hit. And so the first hit of the day goes to the right fielder.
Good piece of hitting right there. Perfectly on time, straight back up the middle. Kind of almost kicked off of second base there. That would have been very unlucky. If it's a good hit, well hit ball, and it just kind of kicks off second base, like right into the glove of Niednagel, and he throws to first base. That would have been bad. But he ends up it squirts into the outfield, so he was lucky on that. But
that'll bring up Logan Johnstone playing center field. He's had a good year for Washington State, leads the team in home runs, but he's been cold the last couple of games. 0 for 4 in each of them, as we mentioned earlier. Here's the first offering to Johnstone, and that is strike 1 to Logan Johnstone. Still no score. Washington State finally gets a hit with Ollie Obenauer now getting a lead at first. Johnstone, left-handed batter, facing the right-handed pitcher in Davis Ryan. Comes set on the mound with an 0-1. Will fire to first, and Obenauer is safe. A tag applied from Elmore. Job by Obenauer, who can be feisty on the base paths. He's 3 of 6 so far this year, stealing second. Johnstone stands in with an 0-1 count. The pitch from Ryan on the way, and it's skied up towards second, and that one is caught on the run by Oster, and Johnstone is out, but Ollie Obenauer, or no, he's safe. So it grounded off the turf, it looks like. So it will be 2 runners on for Washington State, as that one deceives the eyes.
That's a lucky one. That's kind of almost a bit of like a swinging bunt there, because it just, kind of swung, kind of bounced off the plate. Like we mentioned, kind of got really high in the air, kind of looked like a pop-up.
Yeah.
And then you had Oster at second base kind of coming in, trying to make a play on it. Just note, Johnstone's quick. He's a center fielder for a reason, so he's got a lot of speed. He can beat it out.
So now 2 hits for Washington State after the base hit from Johnstone. The offering to Will Cresswell is high and inside for a ball to the catcher, who's on the Buster Posey Award watch list, the top 56 catchers in the nation. He's on the watch list this year for Washington State. He's had a great season, batting .354. 1-0 way outside, and that's ball 2 to Will Cresswell. So no score in the bottom of the first inning. 2 base runners aboard for Washington State. After the 6-3 ground out from Gavin Roy, got the first out of the inning. Then Ollie Obenauer and Logan Johnstone got aboard. 2-0 count, 2 runners on and 1 out. The pitch from Ryan to Cresswell, outside for a ball, and that's now a 3-0 count for Will Cresswell. 1 pitch away from loading the bases for Washington State.
You want to see the Cougs capitalized right here. You got a runner on scoring position. You got to get it done.
Yeah, this is the kind of opportunities you cannot squander if you want to win a series and get back into some potential postseason opportunities. And this pitch is high and outside for ball 4, and Will Cresswell gets walked, and now the bases are loaded, and the pressure is on Davis Ryan. Ryan Shawnsby, the first baseman, comes up. Big opportunity with just 1 out and the bases full. No score, 1 out, bottom of the first, game 1 of the weekend. The first offering to Shawnsby is inside for ball 1. Ryan Shawnsby batting .263 so far this season. He's got 20 RBIs, and he's got a good opportunity to increase that number. Here's a 1-0 from Ryan, and it's grounded towards first, and it's a tag on the bag, and there's a RBI for Ryan Shawnsby as Ollie Obenauer comes home.
Way to cash in there if you're Ryan Shawnsby. I mean, not necessarily what he was hoping for there. You mean if you're Ryan Shawnsby, you want to get maybe a single, maybe a double, drive in 2 or something like that. But that works. I mean, that's just how baseball works sometimes. A little kind of chopping ground ball can get the job done. I mean, Elmore has to play. It has to get the out at first, so it works out, and the Cougs get ahead.
1-0 Washington State with 2 outs and 2 runners in scoring position. Luke Thiel comes to the plate. Second baseman for Washington State, and he takes the first pitch inside for strike 1. So now 2 hits in the inning, and 1 run has come across for the Cougars. And that's their lead. The 0-1 from Ryan on the way, and it is fouled off. And the count goes to 0-2 against Thiel. So John Stone at third after he chopped it off the plate. Almost a pop-up, but not quite. He got aboard. And then Obenauer gets worked all the way around the bases to come home. So an 0-2 count against Luke Thiel with 2 runners in scoring positions and 2 out. This one is lined into left field on a dart from Luke Thiel. It's going to bounce a couple of times, and 2 runners will come home to score for Washington State. And now it is 3-0 Cougars.
We were just talking about capitalizing. Right now, Cougs capitalizing. First, Ryan Shawnsby getting the RBI ground out, and then now Luke Thiel just kind of lines that one into left field, splitting the left side. So it's just some good at-bats so far from the Cougs, and this is kind of what they need. They can string together some quality at-bats. This is what they probably kind of need to do in that Gonzaga game, and they ended up not being able to do it, but some good signs now in the bottom of the first. You see the Cougs being able to string together some really quality at-bats.
Designated hitter Griffin Myers comes to the plate with 2 outs, now runner in first. 3-0 lead for Washington State. He takes strike number 1. So 2 outs for the Cougars, but 3 hits and 3 runs in this inning so far. This is the kind of start you were hoping for if you're Coach Choate for the Cougars. Trying to get back in the Mountain West game. This one's grounded at second. Oster makes the grab and will fire it to first and record the final out of the inning. Washington State has 3 runs on 3 hits, no errors, and a base runner left on. Really good first inning. We'll head to the top of the second. You're listening to KUGR, the student voice of the Palouse. Cougars found a way to capitalize in the bottom of the first. They bring in 3 runs on 3 hits, and now they have a 3-0 lead over the Air Force Falcons as we start the top of the second with the designated hitter Trip Garish, the left fielder Christian Taylor, and the first baseman Luke Elmore. The batters due up for the Falcons with Luke Myers on the mound for Washington State after pitching a 3-up, 3-down inning to start the game. And the first pitch is outside for a ball. And that's the 1-0 count to start the second inning for Trip Garish and the Air Force Falcons. 17-28 overall this year. 7th in the Mountain West. The 1-0 pitch from Myers is fouled off down the first baseline. So far, you're talking a good start for Luke Myers in this game.
It's all about efficiency. I mean, and when you're rolling like Luke Myers seems like he is, it's all about just getting to the next batter.
The 1-1 pitch on the way, and that is outside. Got away from Myers that time. The count goes to 2-1. If you're Luke Myers in this game, how far do you think you can probably stretch this start? Do you try to hope to go the whole way, or what is your plan going through this game as this one is fouled off on the 2-1? Count goes to 2-2.
You know, Luke Myers, he's proven that he can pitch in a variety of different spots, starting, coming in relief, and he's gone really long relief stints and really long starting, outings. So for him, it's just try and go as far as you possibly can, as long as Choate will let you.
The 2-1 grounded past Northrop on a dive into the hole between third and short, and it's out to left field where Scholl will grab it, but it's a base hit for Air Force, and that's their first hit of the day. And now they have a runner aboard to lead off the second inning. That'll bring up the left fielder, Christian Taylor. Northrop just not able to lunge far enough out to get that one. It was a well-hit ball from Garish.
He's been playing pretty good defense so far, Kyler Northrop. He's really found a home over there in the hot corner.
Fresh count for Taylor, and the pitch from Myers is right down the pipe for a strike, and the count goes to 0-1. With Garish at first for the Falcons, still looking for their first run. It's 3-0 Washington State. Myers gets the signal, nods his head, the wind and the delivery, and that is fouled off, and the count goes to 0-2.
Good placement on that pitch, too. I mean, outside, just trying to, not necessarily pitching away from these guys, but just not giving them very many things to hit. Probably the best pitch he saw was that very first fastball that he took, and now Luke Myers is not really going to give him anything good to hit.
It's an 0-2 count against Taylor. Myers leaning over towards home, takes a peek at first where Garish gets a lead. Nobody out and one runner on. 3-0 Washington State. This one's skied up towards right field. Obenauer gets back there and tries to Odell it and misses it, and it bounces off the wall, bounces off his glove, and here comes Garish rounding for home. The throw to home to Cresswell is in time. They get the out. What a play by Washington State. Trip Garish thrown out at home. What a rally by Obenauer after disaster on that play to start it. They get the throw out at home.
Well, you wonder why coaches always say to finish the play, and that's why, it doesn't matter if you make an error or if the ball gets over your head, you didn't make a play on it, you got to finish out the play, and Obenauer just sticks with it, picks up the ball off the wall, gets it in, and that was a good team effort right there. Obenauer to Gavin Roy, then Gavin Roy just threw an absolute dart straight to the glove of Will Cresswell at home, didn't really have to move that much, just lays the tag down. That's if you're here and you're watching that and you're a young baseball player, that is exactly how you should run that situation. It's a perfect relay, and that's how you stop a run from getting across, and that's just great defense from the Cougs.
Air Force is challenging the play on the field, and probably a reasonable challenge because this is a potential run coming across. So if you're going to use any of your challenges, this is one you kind of want to have to use. Obenauer, though, almost able to make the one-handed over-the-shoulder catch, but just a little bit too far out of his arms, and he didn't have the best start to it. He kind of misjudged it on the initial firing off the bat, and then definitely made a good adjustment to get it back to home in time on the cutoff, and Will Cresswell applied the tag. It looked like it was out by quite a bit to us here, straight on home plate, but you never know with these reviews. Sometimes just a little bit can be on home plate.
That's why having all the different angles kind of helps a little bit, because like we're sitting here and we're looking, you're saying like, oh, we have the best angle of this, we're straight on, but then maybe somebody else has a better angle, they saw his foot get in, something like that. You just never know. And Obenauer out in right field, it's such a tough one, because the setting sun here on the Palouse just coming in. This there's shade out in left field, there's shade out in center field. There is nowhere to hide out in right field. There's just all sun. it's in your eyes. That ball gets up, maybe it gets lost in the sun a little bit. Those are those frustrating ones, especially if you're an outfielder, because your whole job is to catch the ball in the air, and when you can't see it, it's really hard to do your job. So it can just kind of get your blood going a little bit. You're kind of freaking out because you don't know where it is, and it might hit you in the face. You don't know, so you're kind of panicking. But like you said, you didn't necessarily get the best beat on it. But again, it's why you stick with the play, because if he gives up on that, he hangs his head a little bit after that play. If he hesitates even just a titch longer on that play and getting that ball in, then Garish comes around to score, and it's a 3-1 ball game. So it's just that's why this is kind of the Cougars love to play really gritty baseball, and that's an example of it right there. Like, even if they make a mistake, they're right up there, right there to make the next play and just try and minimize their errors.
Yeah, Washington State has done a good job this year not letting all of those missed opportunities get the best of them. They've still been able to rally, even though most of the games haven't gone their way. But there's still been a lot of positives come out of this season, and they're still right there fighting for an opportunity to get to the Mountain West tournament. 8th place in the Mountain West, as we were talking in the open of the broadcast. Air Force sitting at 7th, but realistically, they're 5th, tied with 3 other teams. And if Washington State can jump into that standings in the 6 range, 6-5, with a couple wins here and a couple losses, opportune losses by other teams, they could see themselves right in there. But it all starts here, and they've done a good job with their 3-0 start. But this is a big play, because if Air Force starts to get a little momentum, we've seen the Cougars kind of collapse.
Absolutely. The Mountain West is a really tight division. One win, one loss can be the difference between moving you between being dead last in the division, between being 5th, between being 2nd. Teams can leapfrog each other really easily in terms of just one win, one series win, and definitely these games in Mountain West, they can come down to their 1-run ball games. They're really close. It's a lot of really talented baseball teams. And so, it's why it's important to have a coach who's willing to go to challenge the plays like this, like the Air Force coach, because if you can claw back that run, if you can get that on the board, you hang a crooked number for the first time in the ball game, it can really change the momentum. And college baseball, and more than the major leagues, is definitely a momentum-based game. If a team has momentum, they are able to win ball games. So, the Air Force is just going to do everything they possibly can right now to just get momentum back on their side, especially after giving up 3 runs back in the bottom of the first.
Yeah, and even if this review doesn't come the way of Washington State, the momentum kind of died when they went to review. It's taken a really long time, so I would imagine even though they might get a run, it's not going to fire them up as much. Maybe when they initially make the call, they'll jump and hoot and holler around, but when it's just a bang-bang play and then it moves on, that's really when things get kind of juiced up. But I think that this review has taken a really long time, so it kind of sucks the air out of the sails for the Falcons.
Just a little bit. It's moments like these that you kind of love baseball, because you got the whole infield. You got Shawnsby, Gavin Roy, Luke Thiel, Northrup all out at second base. Basically kind of same thing that, would happen in like a pitching change. They're kind of all grouped together. They're talking, they're chatting, just cutting up a little bit. Stuff like that makes you love baseball.
Yeah, and here comes the call from the umpires. They call on the field stands. The runner is out. So that's the first out of the inning for the Washington State Cougars. Trip Garish gets caught stealing home after that double. And I suppose not caught stealing. He just got thrown out at home.
We say, he's out by about a mile, but the bit of a bang-bang play kind of came down to just Will Cresswell being able to get that tag down. He didn't really have to move that much, but again, Obenauer hesitates just a little too much on that play, and that he's safe.
Luke Elmore, the first baseman, up for Air Force, trying to drive in a run still. They still have a good opportunity. Cresswell able to slide over and prevent the ball from going wide on the errant pitch from Luke Myers, and the count goes to 1-0 against Elmore. So Christian Taylor at second. After the long hit to right field, Obenauer couldn't field it. They end up getting the out at home to Garish. He was not able to score. 1-0 pitch on the way. That is outside for ball 2. So the count goes to 2-0 against Elmore. 3-0 still. Washington State in front in the top of the second inning. Myers comes set, takes a peek at second. Takes another look. Now comes and fires on a 2-0. And this one's grounded into left. And Taylor is going to get to third. And it's a base knock for Luke Elmore.
Good job by Jonas Scholl out in left field. The ball gets on him pretty quick. You just got to get that ball in because otherwise, they could be waving Christian Taylor around to score, but get it in quick. Just force them to have to put up the stop sign. He does set up first and third, so it's a good spot here for Air Force. But definitely, if Luke Myers can get a ground ball, roll double play, get out of this inning, that's what you're looking for if you're Luke Myers.
The third baseman, Alex Adams, a 7-spot hitter for the Air Force Falcons up. Still 3-0 Cougars, but Air Force threatening with a runner in prime scoring position and just 1 out for Air Force. They now have 3 hits in the inning. Each batter has gotten a hit, and they've Myers will fire to first. Diving back safely, Elmore. No trouble.
We have an opposite of a 3 up, 3 down inning when you really get down to it. 3 up and then 3 hits. I don't know exactly to call it. 3 up, 3 up.
Keep going.
Yeah, pretty much.
0-1 count against Adams. With the Cougars up 3, Myers will fire to first. Again, safely back, Elmore. Gonna wear a hole in his pants.
I see in the MLB now, if he were to pick off again, he would have to get him. Otherwise, he would be granted second base, but not in college. You can pick off as many times as you want.
There's the 0-1 pitch, and that is a little bit high for a ball. Count goes to 1-1. That is interesting. You throw as many times as you like and really wear them out. And then eventually maybe you get them. But sometimes you just overthrow, and that happens all the time, I would imagine. 1-1 count. The pitch to Adams fouled down the first baseline, drifting towards the student section. Takes a crash off the bleachers.
That was a great slider there from Luke Myers. I mean, a lot of great break on it, a lot of late break too. So kind of started in on the hands of Adams, and then he had to start that swing really late. So a good pitch to kind of just force him to put a bit of an ugly swing on it. But let's see if he can't get a strikeout here.
1-2 count for Adams. Myers winds and fires and way outside. Count goes to 2-2.
Definitely missed with that pitch.
Yeah, that one got away from him a little bit.
Not sure if he was looking for the chase on that, but
that one seems maybe a bit too far for that. That was way out on the outer portion of the right side batter's box. This one is lined into center. Johnstone underneath it. Taylor tags at third and will come home to score. And Air Force now finally has their first run of the day.
Good response from Air Force. I mean, you give up 3 in the bottom of the first off of some good at-bats strung together by the Cougs. So now you come out, like you mentioned, three batters up, 3 hits. And so it's just getting the momentum back. They're tied now. 3 hits for Air Force, 3 hits for the Cougs. So just good job to take the momentum back a little bit.
Runner on first for the Falcons. This pitch outside for ball 1 to TJ Oster. 2 outs. 3-1 lead for Washington State. Elmore still at first. Myers aware of it. Takes a peek at first. Comes home with a 1-0 pitch, and that is grounded into center. And that's going to be a base hit again for Air Force. TJ Oster gets aboard, and that moves Elmore to second.
You're just some good at-bats here from the Air Force. They're getting pitches to hit. They're getting barrels to it. They're on time. They're sending it up the middle. They're sending it into left field. And there was some good communication there from Luke Thiel. Johnstone came in to play the ball in center. Thiel came over and was yelling at Johnstone, telling him to get the ball in quickly because Elmore was thinking about rounding, going for third. So they got in quickly, hold him there. So just some great communication in the infield.
Now the 9-hole hitter, Ben Neednagel, the shortstop, up for the Falcons. This one is launched into right field. Obenauer tracking back to the warning track about 3 feet away from the wall, and he makes the final grab of the inning, and that will strand 2 for the Falcons, but they do bring home a run on 4 hits, and it's 3-1. Washington State still in front of Air Force as we head to the bottom of the second inning. You're listening to KUGR, the student voice of the Palouse. Air Force able to bring home a run on 4 hits in the second inning, and Washington State will be up to bat with the bottom of the order, Jonah Scholl, Kyler Northrup, then back to the top with Gavin Roy, the batters for Washington State. Still facing Davis Ryan on the mound. They were able to bring in 3 runs in the first inning, so they lead it 3-1. And Smith, so far so good, but can Washington State keep it up?
Well, I mean, it's definitely going to come down to hitters like Jonas Scholl, Kyler Northrup, Griffin Myers in the 7, 8, and 9 hole. If you can get production from there, I mean, you're getting some production from the top half of your lineup, but if you can get production from the bottom half, then I could see the Cougs getting a win here today.
First pitch to Scholl is high, and that's ball number 1. Scholl on Tuesday had the unfortunate error that ended up costing Washington State the game. It was a clean bill of baseball until that moment when they had their first error from Scholl, and he just couldn't find it in the dark night sky. He shows bunt, and it's lined down the third base. Here comes the throw to first, and it is in time. And a good job by Adams at third to come down and charge at it, and then fire it to first, and Elmore makes the grab, and that's the first out of the inning.
So Air Force went to throw the ball around there, and it just kicked out of the glove of Adams. That's one of the more embarrassing things you can do on a baseball field. After you just get a good clutch out there, you go to throw the ball around, you throw it away. It's frustrating. I've done that before. I was first baseman, so I would like sail it into left field, it was not fun when you did that.
9-hole hitter Kyler Northrup playing third base for Washington State and doing it well. First offering from Ryan is fouled off backwards. So the score 3-1 as the count goes to 0-1 against Northrup. He's extended his hitting streak to 16 games in a row.
Just a really hot guy. He's a freshman. I mean, the Cougs need some players who are hot, and Northrup's been providing.
Ryan comes home on 0-1, and that is in for strike 2. And Northrup watched it go by. Now he's behind 0-2 against Ryan. Nobody on, 1 out. Bottom of the second inning. 3-1 lead for Washington State. The pitch to Northrup, and he fouls this one back into the net. Count stays at 0-2.
Good approach on 2 strikes there. You're going to get a breaking ball away from you. They're not going to try and pitch it over the plate, so he just puts a swing on it, gets a piece to it, and live to see if maybe Ryan has to go back now to a pitch that's over the plate that you can hit. So let's see if he mashes it.
Ryan comes set, ready for the 0-2 pitch on the way to Northrup, and that is just a bit outside for ball 1. So Northrup still battling hard. After fouling it off, then he watches it go outside, and now a 1-2 count against the third baseman. 1-2 pitch from Ryan on the way, and that is lined into right field, and that's going to get down, and Northrup gets aboard with a base hit, and now it's 17 games for Kyler Northrup, and the Cougars still lead 2, but now they have an extra runner on.
Earlier in the year, Max Hartman had a 15-game, I believe it was 15-game hitting streak, and so now, Kyler Northrup's kind of blown that out of the water a little bit. Now 17, so now, when you're hot like this, it's all about just trying to get to the next day. So now you've gotten that hit. So now you're thinking, okay, so tomorrow let's try and make it 18. Then the day after that, try and make it 19. Then make it 20, and just try and keep that momentum going. As Gavin Roy's going to dig in.
The shortstop, Gavin Roy, 6-3 ground out to start the game. Back to the top of the order for Washington State, up by 2. Here in the bottom of the second, pitch from Ryan comes in low and outside, and that's ball 1 to Gavin Roy. Coach Choate, very impressed with Kyler Northrup, and when you talk to Coach Choate, he talks about everyone highly and never really says bad things about the players, but he's very impressed with Northrup and the ability for him to rally back from an inopportune start to the season. Now he's had a really good job. This one is slowly grounded into right field for Gavin Roy, and he's going to get aboard, and Northrup gets all the way to third. Excellent hit from Gavin Roy right off the tip of the bat. It goes dribbling out to right field. The second baseman, Oster, kind of in no man's land, had trouble going over to get it. And it gets Northrup all the way to third.
That is a textbook hit and run right there. If you're a young baseball player, take notes. Kyler Northrup took off, a great jump off of Ryan. Gavin Roy just trying to put a barrel to the ball, gets it. It wasn't the most well-hit ball. Like you said, Oster kind of range over, trying to make a play on it. He probably could have made a play on it, just kind of kicked off his glove. So Gavin Roy's safe, but then Kyler Northrup doesn't stop. He keeps his momentum going, gets all the way to third. So now you have first and third with 1 out. It's a great spot for the Cougs.
3-1 lead for Washington State, bottom of the second. This one is launched into center field. Spencer back to try to make the grab, and he's going to make it, and he will lunge forward to try to throw home, but that's no matter because Northrup has come home to score after tagging up at third, and now Washington State leads 4-1.
Sac flies aren't necessarily flashy, but they get the job done. I mean, Cougs are a small ball team, and that's about as small ball as you can get. Just a little deep fly out to center field. No chance for Spencer to be able to throw out Northrup. He's fast. I mean, he just showed it. He started at first, stole second, got into third. I mean, just super fast guy. He gives the Cougs now the 4-1 lead. So just here the Cougs just keep clawing away.
Pushes the lead to 3 for the Cougars and brings up Johnstone, and he takes strike number 1 right down the heart of the plate. And Johnstone in the first inning had a base hit, and now instead of going 0 for 4 again, he's now got a hit. So he ends his cold streak, and now he's starting to heat up, and he's probably got to be feeling great at the plate. So a runner on, 2 outs. Ryan will throw to first, and Roy will dive back safely.
Logan Johnson's a guy who, if he's hot, so is the rest of the team. I mean, he won Mountain West Player of the Week earlier in the season. So, for Johnstone, you should take that single earlier in this game as a sign that good things are going to come. So now just keep trying to get as many hits as you can.
He's got an 0-1 count against Ryan with 2 outs and a runner on. Pitch is low. Roy trying to steal for second, and he pops up on the bag, and he's called safe. A stolen bag for Gavin Roy, who's now 8 for 9 on the year.
Just such a fast member of this Cougar team. I mean, great jump. It was a ball in the dirt, which helped him out a little bit, so he was able to get there and not get thrown out. We were talking before we went on air that's most of the times that's how I stole bases, was just I got lucky enough that the pitch was in the dirt, so otherwise I would have been thrown out.
Definitely good to always keep your head on a swivel and get to the base when you can. This pitch is inside on the knees of Johnstone, and the count goes to 2-1. And I imagine when you're a base runner, you see that ball low, your eyes start to light up, and then you run a little bit faster, I imagine.
Absolutely.
So a 2-1 count. Ryan takes a peek at second. Johnstone stands in with 2 outs, a runner in scoring position. This one is inside as well, and then ball 3 to Johnstone. Washington State averages about 9 hits per game. They've already got 5 in this game, a 4-1 lead as Johnstone now has the advantage 3-1. Roy getting a lead at second with 2 outs. Ryan checks backwards and now comes home on a 3-1, and this one's grounded to second. Oster fields it. The fire to first is in time to end the inning, but Washington State does bring home 1 run on 2 hits, no errors, and a base runner left on. We will head to the top of the 3rd inning, where Washington State leads it 4-1 after 2. You're listening to KUGR, the student voice of the Palouse.
Momentum has been swinging back and forth in this ball game. The Cougs got out to an early lead, 3-0 in the bottom of the first. The Air Force Falcons responded back in the top of the second by putting up a run, and then the Cougs got it right back in the bottom of the second, making this a 4-1 ball game. So we are now stepping into the top of the third, and Luke Myers still on the mound for the Cougs. He's given up 4 hits so far, only allowing 1 run. So far, he's stayed fairly efficient, as the lineup card is going to flip over for top of the third, and it will be Chase Spencer, the starting center fielder for the Falcons, leading it off for Air Force. Spencer, the right-handed batter, facing off against Myers, the right-handed pitcher. Cougs wearing their all-white home jerseys. Air Force wearing their gray with blue pinstripes, as here's the first pitch to Spencer. Breaking ball, drops over the heart of the plate for strike 1. Luke Myers gets ahead early.
Yeah, Luke Myers already given up 4 hits to Air Force. He gave up 5 hits in each of the 2 games he's played against Air Force earlier in the year as well.
The 0-1 pitch, swung on and missed. Spencer couldn't connect on it. Strike 2. So he starts him with the breaking ball and then goes to the 88-mile-per-hour fastball. Luke Myers has got some pretty good stuff. Can you put him away? Here's the 0-2, the pitch. Just misses high for ball one. Will Cresswell thought it was a strike. So did Luke Myers, but ends up being a 1-2 strike count against Spencer.
Yeah, Cresswell's such a good catcher for Washington State, always trying to get that extra strike.
Here's the 1-2. Swung on and missed. It gets past Will Cresswell, well away from him. Spencer gets on his horse, gets into first base. It's a drop third strike single for Spencer. Actually, probably shouldn't say it's a single. It's technically not exactly how, I don't know exactly how you score it, but his on base percentage goes up a little bit.
Yeah. I know faculty advisor Brandon Chapman was talking about that earlier in the year, where it technically still counts as a strikeout, but then also the base runner gets aboard. So it's probably one of the most confusing plays in baseball, especially for a pitcher that now has a runner on, even though he struck him out.
And it doesn't happen that very much in baseball. Usually the catchers are able to knock it down, get the throw to first, but it just doesn't work out there for Will Cresswell as it kicked away from him. And the Air Force Falcons have a runner on first base as it brings up Walker Zapp. Luke Myers comes set. Long hold, pickoff attempt over to first base. Did they get him? No. Bit of a bang-bang play. Good move by Luke Myers. Bit of a snap move over to first base, but just not in time to get Spencer.
Yeah, he's got to be a little more careful than that. If you're Spencer, that one was really close. Probably have to bring it in by like a couple inches.
Still an 0-0 count here for Zapp. Long hold by Luke Myers. Another pickoff attempt. Another bang-bang play. Bit of a long lead there from Spencer. Like you mentioned, definitely needs to keep his head on the swivel over there. I'd say probably one of the most embarrassing things to do as a base runner is get picked off at first base.
Especially after the luck of the bounce off of Cresswell to get aboard after striking out.
Here's the 0-0 to Zapp. Pitch out. Will Cresswell thought about throwing down to first. They will not, and it's ball one to Walker Zapp. Love that name, Zapp. Spelled Z-A-P-P.
It's perfect for an Air Force Falcon to be called a Zap. When they have the lightning bolt symbolism. It's pretty cool.
Here's the 1-0. Swung on, foul, right field side, drifting just out of play. And will it hit off the video board? Just misses the video board outside right field. And it's a 1-1 strike count now for Zapp. You think about Air Force, the fighter pilots and everything. Zapp is a very apropos name. Zapp. Zap, zap. 1-1 strike count, no outs. Runner on first base. 1 run for Air Force. Another pickoff attempt. Also not in time. You can kind of tell when Luke Myers is going to pick off. He has a bit of a long hold. Doesn't, just holds, just stands there from the stretch, doesn't go, and then eventually, makes the move over. So definitely needs to mix up his looks a little bit. Still a 1-1 count to Zapp. Here's the pitch. Swung on, lifted over the shoulder of Luke Thiel, who drifts into the outfield, makes the catch. It's a P4 for the first out of the inning in Air Force, with 1 out now and a runner on first base.
Good job by Thiel tracking backwards. That's a tough play to make, similar to Obenauer, but not really with the quite speed coming off that ball. So he was able to easily identify it. But those can be tricky when you're falling backwards. Anytime you're moving backwards, when your eyes are facing forward, you don't know where you're going.
Brings to the 3-hole hitter, Zach Peters, starting right fielder. Another righty for Air Force. Pickoff attempt. Bang, bang play, and they got him! It finally works. Luke Myers, with a beautiful move, picks off Spencer at first base. And now Air Force have nobody on with 2 outs here in the top of the 4th. But the fishing crew are going to come together and talk it over.
Well, it was kind of feeling like it was always going to be that way, and they're going to take a look at it. But it felt like he was playing with fire a little bit at first base, and then he finally got burned.
Definitely a bang-bang play. Throw came in, dove back. Looked like he might have gotten his hand in there. I understand why Air Force is going to challenge this one. Again, like they Well, granted, though, this is a bit of a dangerous challenge because they lost their first challenge with that play at the plate, so now they only have one remaining. If this one comes back and they were also wrong about this, then they will have no remaining challenges. So a bit of a dangerous, that's why that first challenge is so important, because if you lose that first one, now you have no cushion. Now you only have one, and you have to be, if you're going to challenge a play, you have to be very certain of it, which, I mean, if they're challenging this one, then maybe they have pretty good reason. Maybe they do think they had a better angle and they do think he was safe. But, yeah, definitely, Luke Myers eventually, then if you just keep poking away at it, eventually those pickoff moves are going to pay off. So,
yeah, I think the first challenge was totally reasonable by all measures when it was a pretty close play. It seemed like he was out, when he was trying to go home and Cresswell applied the tag. But there's also, you got to weigh it. If you can't ask the player, were you safe? Yeah, of course I was safe. You're not going to call yourself out. So the first one, because it was a run potential, I think for Air Force that was reasonable. But this one, getting caught stealing at first, even if you get it, or you maybe get picked off again. This guy at first, Spencer's been kind of playing with fire, as we mentioned. But I think it's a reasonable challenge if you win it, but if you lose it, then that's not so great, because there's bound to be some opportunity coming later in the game, especially here at Bailey Brayton, where wild things tend to happen.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a bit a less consequential situation to be challenging it. And that kind of does support the theory that maybe they are very confident that it will come back positively.
Yeah, I think if you are supremely confident, there's no reason to not challenge it. If you know you're going to win, but it does seem like if you do lose it, this could be something to remember as you go later in the game if another bang bang play happens.
As the officiating crews are going to come back to give the decision in this 4-1 ball game. They come back, they overturn the call, and Spencer will be safe at first base. So like we said, that was a bit of a quicker challenge. They didn't take too long getting back to us about that one. So definitely a smart challenge by Air Force. So Air Force will have runner on first base, one out, or no outs, pardon me. Oh, no, yes, there is one out. The video board has it wrong. There was a pop out over to Luke Thiel, as Zach Peters is up to bat now with his 1-1 count. Here's the pitch. In there for strike one. Strike two, pardon me. Peters digs himself back in. Cougs leading at 4-1 here in the top of the third. Myers comes set. Takes a breath. Long hold. Will he pick off? He lifts and delivers. Low for ball two. So the video board is not updated to say that there is one out. There was a pop out to Luke Thiel. Have not updated it yet. 2-2 count now for Peters. Long hold. Pickoff attempt over. Really trying to get Spencer over there.
Well, look at the home plate umpire signaling to everybody that the count is holding up 1-1.
I think you're right. The video board also has that wrong too. Don't trust the video board is what basically the lesson here. 1-1 pitch is chopped to Northrup, who makes a play. Throw to second base. In time to get the out. Throw to first base. Not in time. It's a hustle single for Zach Peters, which is a fielder's choice. And Spencer is cut down trying to get into second.
Yeah, good play from Northrup on the tough ground ball. It was pretty high in the air, but he's a tall fella at 6'4", able to just easily reach up and then throw it to second.
Stark contrast between Kyler Northrup at third and Gavin Roy at shortstop. I'd say that Kyler Northrup's definitely got almost a foot on him. A lot of support here for Trip Garish, the DH here for the Falcons. So here is the 0-0 for Myers. Low in the dirt, blocked by Will Cresswell for ball one. A lot of Air Force fans here at Bailey and Brayton. A lot of Cougs as well. Good turnout on a Friday night. It's move-out day, and it's also graduation week, so it's good to see Cougs still coming out to support the baseball team. Here's the 1-0. Breaking ball drops in there for strike one. Goes to the changeup, and he gets it. 1 ball, 1 strike now for Garish. His first name's Trip, so Trip Garish. They got a guy with the last name Zap and a guy with the first name Trip. A lot of fun names here for the Falcons. Here's the 1-1. Swung on and missed. Another breaking ball, and he gets him to swing and miss on it. 1 ball, 2 strikes for Garish with a runner on first. And the Falcons down 4-1 against the Cougs. Garish is going to dig himself back in. lefty batter, righty pitcher, Luke Myers. Comes set from the stretch. Long hold. Here's the pitch. High, outside for ball 2. Good take by Trip Garish not to offer at it. Evens up the count. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs.
Yeah, Trip Garish, the guy that got thrown out at home after the misplay from Obenauer in right field, but he's a guy that's got real speed, so you can't let him get aboard.
The 2-2, check swing. Did he go? They say he did. It is the second strikeout of the night for Luke Myers, both swinging. Now that will do it for the top of the third. We'll move into the top of the bottom of the third as the Cougs still lead it 4-1. So Luke Myers not showing any cracks early on in this ballgame. You're listening to Cougar Baseball on KUGR, the student voice of the Palouse. So Davis Ryan's day is done for the Air Force. He pitched 2 innings, giving up 4 runs. As we mentioned it right before we went on air, he also played trombone. So bit of a multi-talented man, but his day is done. They'll go to number 9, Dylan Rogers, another right-hander out of the Air Force bullpen, as he will face Will Cresswell to start the bottom of the third, followed by Ryan Shonsby and then Luke Thiel, who had a play over his shoulder in no man's land back in the top of the third. Cresswell's going to dig himself in. Righty on righty. Here's the pitch. Breaking ball lined. It is a fair ball into left field. Will Cresswell. He's going to try and dig it for 2. He'll get in there. The throw will get in from the outfield. Will Cresswell. First pitch swinging. First pitch double to start out the bottom of the third. And the Cougs have a runner in scoring position early on.
Yeah, how about the start for Washington State? A hit in every inning and multiple in the first 2. Now one to lead off the third. So really good start offensively.
That brings up Ryan Shonsby, left-handed batter going up against the righty. It's a good spot. Righty on lefty with a runner in scoring position. Will Cresswell, not the speediest player, but he'll get the job done. It's the 0-0 to Shonsby, misses outside for ball 1. And catchers are typically not the fastest guy on your team. Usually a little bit more of a brick wall. It's definitely true for Will Cresswell. Here's the 1-0. Swing on, foul, just out of play, into the stands, into the beer garden, just misses some fans. Makes it a 1-ball, 1-strike count for Shonsby. Shonsby's name spelled Skjonsby, but somehow pronounced Shonsby. Here's the 1-1. Scoring to bunts. Breaking ball misses outside. Shonsby pulls back, and it's a 2-ball, 1-strike count now. Cresswell still on second base.
Yeah, you talk about how Cresswell's not the fastest guy, but when you put it perfectly into the corner like he did, second base is just calling your name.
Those are the ones that, out of the box, he knew he could get a double out of that one. That's why he was hustling. 2-1 count now for Shonsby. Here's the pitch. Swing on, foul, straight back and straight out for strike 2. 2 balls, 2 strikes. No outs here in the bottom of the third. Cougars leading 4-1 over the Air Force Falcons in the game 1 of this 3-game Mountain West series. Johnsby digs himself back in. Waiting for the 2-2. Rogers, long look at Cresswell. Here's the pitch. Swung on, grounded. Over to the shortstop, Nagel. Fields throws the first in time to get the out. He looked back, Will Cresswell, so he will stay at second base. 6-3 put out to get Ryan Johnsby. Textbook play there from Nagel. Ground ball over to him. Look Will Cresswell back. Not necessarily scared about Will Cresswell advancing into third, but just you always want to make sure, check him back into second base before you make that throw. You have plenty of time. So it brings up Luke Thiel with an opportunity to drive in a run. Here's the 0-0. Fastball, outer half for strike one. No balls, 1 strike, 1 out, 4-1, Cougars leading. Rogers can get his sign, comes sets. From the stretch, checks over at Cresswell. Here's the pitch. Breaking ball inside half for strike 2. And now Luke Thiel has watched 2 straight strikes go past him.
Yeah, Thiel had the 2 RBI back in the first. So far a good start, but now behind 0-2. We'll see what he does here.
Rogers looking to strike out Thiel. Here's the pitch. Low inside for ball 1. Definitely looking for a swing and miss, but good plate discipline from Luke Thiel. We've mentioned it a lot. 2-strike hitting is a strength for the Cougs. Luke Thiel pounds his chest and steps in. Rogers looking to get out number 2 of the inning. Here's the pitch. Swung and a miss on a breaking ball in the dirt. It kicks away from Zapp, who throws down to first base to get Luke Thiel. And it's out number 2 here in the bottom of the third. Cougs still leading 4-1, but Cresswell in danger of being stranded out at second base. Seven-hole hitter Griffin Myers is going to dig himself in. Left-handed batter. He's the guy we were mentioning before that he's going to be graduating soon, so see some of the last games he will play as a Coug. The end of his college career. Here's the 0-0. Swung on, grounded over the second baseman who plays it off his backhand. Throw to first base in time to get the out and end the inning. Cresswell started it off with a double, but finds himself stranded on the base path. Score remains 4-1 in favor of the Cougs as we move into the top of the fourth and see if Luke Myers can't keep himself rolling. You're listening to Cougar Baseball on KUGR. I'm Smith Slye, joined with Davis Hagen. We'll be right back. Please stay with us. So Will Cresswell doubled to start out the bottom of the third, but to no avail as the 3 preceding Cougs were put out. He was unable to be brought home, and the score remains 4-1. Still in favor of the Cougs. We're moving into the top of the fourth as the Falcons will look to try and chip into that Cougar lead, as it will be Christian Taylor starting it off for the Falcons. Right-handed batter, right-handed pitcher. Doubled back in the second, came around to score the only run for the Falcons in this ballgame. Luke Myers takes a breath from the windup. Lifts and delivers. High and outside for ball 1. Luke Myers has fallen behind on a lot of batters so far in this game. He's somehow still managed to limit the damage. So here's the pitch. Foul straight back into the netting for strike 1. 1 ball, 1 strike, no outs here in the top of the fourth. 4-1 Cougar lead. So here's the 1-1. Breaking ball inside does not get the call for ball 2. So it's 2 balls, 1 strike to Taylor. Luke Myers trying to battle back in this one. Here's the pitch. Swung on, a chopper over to Connor Northrup, who can't make a play on it. Gavin Roy drifts over to stop it from going into the outfield. And it's a leadoff single for Christian Taylor. Picks up a single, and now the Air Force Falcons have a runner on with nobody out here in the top of the fourth.
Yeah, tough one for Northrup. You could see it just flying over the top of his head. That was way over his head, and he's 6'4", so he's a tall guy. And plus, he jumps and has the wingspan extension, and it was still way over his head. So that one's frustrating, I would imagine, just knowing it's right over your head and you can't get to it. But it's a great hit.
Brings up the first baseman, Luke Elmore. He sees the first pitch. Outside corner, strike 1, taken all the way. And Kyle Northrup plays really far in on most plays. He's not playing at the cut of the grass. He's playing kind of closer to the baseline. And if he's playing back a little bit, then maybe he could have made that play. As the 0-1 is lined into center field, Johnstone coming in to make a catch. He makes the grab, chases Taylor back into first. And it's out number 1 here on the top of the fourth. Good play by Logan Johnstone to track down that ball.
Yeah, I've been impressed with Johnstone moving from right field to center field. He's done a really nice job. He made a couple of diving plays earlier in the year at right field. Now he's really done a good job, especially on those line drives, coming forward, charging at the ball, and then holding the runners.
When you got Max Hartman out with an injury, you need to be able to restructure some people, and Logan Johnstone's been up to the task being able to fill in at center field as it brings up Alex Adams, starting third baseman. First pitch to him misses low and outside for ball 1. Air Force trying to bring Christian Taylor around to score with 1 out here on the top of the fourth. Down 4-1 against the Cougs. Here's the pitch. Runner takes off, swing and a miss. Throw it on to second base. In time to get him. Yes, sir. Will Cresswell guns him down at second base for out number 2. Will Cresswell was able to cut down a run at home plate earlier in the ball game and cuts down a run at second base now. 2 outs here in the top of the fourth. Cougs still leading 4-1.
And that's why Cresswell is on the Buster Posey Award watch list. Such a great catcher for Washington State. And then again, Washington State able to eliminate base runners for the Falcons.
Here's the 1-1 pitch. Swung on, lined into right field. Obenauer trying to track it down. He makes the catch. And that ends the inning. Air Force had a leadoff single, but were unable to cash in with them. It's 4-1 here in favor of the Cougs as we will move into the bottom of the fourth. Listening to Cougar Baseball on KUGR. We'll be right back. Please stay with us. So Will Cresswell on a hit and run situation, picked the ball in the dirt, threw down the diamonds to second base to gun down Christian Taylor. And the Cougs were able to get out of an inning after giving up a leadoff single, as it'll bring up Jonah Scholl to kick it off here in the bottom of the fourth. The first pitch from Rogers, low and outside for ball 1. Jonah Scholl gets ahead.
Yeah, second time today, Jonah Scholl's led off from the 8th spot for the Cougars. Grounded out to third in his first opportunity.
Here's the 1-0. Inside, misses for ball 2. So yeah, Jonah Scholl 0 for 1 so far today. He's been starting over Rico Longo in left field in the most recent games, as his next pitch is chopped over to Neednagel, who fields, throws first base in time for the out. Jonah Scholl grounded out to third, back in the second, and now grounds out to short to kick off the fourth. Brings up the 9-hole hitter Kyler Northrup, who just recently extended his hitting streak to 17 games. 1 for 1 so far tonight. Let's see if he can't keep the train rolling. Here's the first pitch. Northrup squaring to bunt. Couldn't get it down. Tips off his bat into the glove of Zapp, who holds on, and it's strike one against Northrup. He went 2 for 4 in the game against Gonzaga. Here's the 0-1. Breaking ball inside half, 4, strike 2, taken all the way. Kyler Northrup finds himself in a tough situation. 0-2. He fell behind 0-2 in his first at-bat of the ball game and still ended up with a single. So here's the pitch. Swung on, kind of got him on the hand. It's a dribbler over to the first baseman who flips to Rogers. He can't hold on to it. It's a single for Kyler Northrup, who hustles and turns a little dribble hit down the first base line into a single.
Yeah, great job by Northrup, and he's got speed, and I want to be as hot as he is. And anything I do, he can't miss right now.
Baseball's one of those games where if you're feeling hot, like you mentioned, it feels like you can't miss. It's just how it is. Everything you do, you just kind of make your own luck. And kind of Northrup made his own luck there. A bit of a dribbler, hustled down the line. The toss to Rogers trying to cover first base was just went wide of his glove. And now it's going to bring up Gavin Roy with 1 out and an opportunity to make this a 5-1 ball game. Here's the first pitch to Roy. Squaring to bunt. He gets it down the third base line, just foul for strike 1. Kyler Northrup was taken off.
Yeah, Northrup's only had 3 steal attempts so far this year, and he's got caught stealing just once. So it's interesting to see the Cougars try to push him around.
Northrup on first base. Gavin Roy at the plate. No balls, 1 strike, 1 out. Pickoff attempt over to try and catch Northrup, not in time. Not the best move from Rogers. You could kind of tell he was stepping off, going to throw over. Luke Myers for the Cougs has a really great pickoff move, kind of a snap move, kind of hard to tell. It's a bit of, you don't know until the last minute whether or not he's going to go. Another pickoff attempt. Northrup's in there safely. Northrup's a tall guy, like we mentioned before, 6'4". So even if he gets a bit of a long lead, his height is kind of helping him out there because he can kind of dive back, and his height's doing most of the work to get himself back there. So chances are he probably won't get picked off. I say that, and I probably jinx him.
Probably not. He's got it.
Here's the 0-1. Breaking ball lifted into left field. Taylor settles underneath it, makes the catch. Northrup has to chase himself back into first base. And there is 2 outs here in the bottom of the fourth. The Cougs stranded Will Cresswell back in the bottom of the third after he started off the inning with a double. Now the Cougs are in danger of stranding Kyler Northrup, who was able to get on with a single. So it brings up Ollie Obenauer, true freshman for the Cougs. Pickoff attempt over to first base. Not in time. Really trying to keep a close eye on Northrup.
Yeah, they're scared of Northrup, it seems. They don't want him to get that opportunity to get to scoring position. But Washington State has left a runner stranded in each of the first 3 innings.
Still no balls, no strikes for Obenauer. Here's the first pitch. Swung on, lined into right field. It'll be a base knock. Kyler Northrup thinks about going to third. Will shut it down. Hold at second base, and Ollie Obenauer, a 2-out single, sets up runners on first and second for the Cougs. Clutch hitting.
Yes, right now, the only inning where Washington State didn't have multiple hits was the third, and that's when Cresswell led off with a double. So it feels like he got the 2 hits in 1 with the double, but Washington State really doing a great job getting the offense going. Only 4 runs in the game with 8 hits, so not quite converting on all their opportunities, but they're definitely getting them.
We talk about Northrup's speed. He advanced from first to third on a bunt earlier in the game and was able to come around and score. As it brings up Logan Johnstone, lefty batter, righty pitcher, with the runner in scoring position. Pickoff attempt over to second base. Can't get him. The spin move from Rogers. And we mentioned that before on the Gonzaga game. It's a setup play. The shortstop's talking to the pitcher. They give him some signs. They'll tell him, hey, like, you look over 3 times and then you pick over. Or you look over 1 time and then you pick over. And so they kind of have that spin move. They're just trying to get the timing and try and catch Northrop sleeping out there. As Logan Johnstone still awaits his 0-0 pitch. Here it is. Breaking ball catches the outside corner for strike 1. Logan Johnstone watched it go. Runners on first and second, 2 outs. Cougs leading 4-1. Johnstone trying to extend the lead here. Here's the pitch. Swung on, lined up the middle. Spencer comes in, dives, makes the catch to end the inning. Spencer out in center field, got a beat on it, laid out, made the catch. And the Cougs strand 2 runners here in the bottom of the 4th, unable to convert. Keeps it a 4-1 ball game. Cougs still leading, but Air Force limiting every opportunity the Cougs trying to put together. You're listening to Cougar Baseball. We will be right back for the top of the 5th with Davis Hagen on the call. Please stay with us. We will be right back.
The final 2 batters of the bottom of the order due up for the Air Force Falcons. The 8-hole hitter, the second baseman, TJ Oster, followed by the shortstop, Ben Neednagel, and then back to the top of the order for the center fielder, Chase Spencer, to come up. Those are the batters due up for the Air Force Falcons. Luke Myers still on the mound, only giving up 1 run and 5 hits as he starts the 5th inning of play. And the junior infielder, TJ Oster, will lead it off for the Air Force Falcons. He had a single right up the middle in the 2nd inning. Here's his 2nd look so far today against Myers. And the first offering in for a strike. And it's strike number 1 to lead it off. And the Cougars lead it 4-1 over the Air Force Falcons. Here's we start the top of the 5th inning. Myers with the 0-1, and it's grounded to third, and it gets past Northrop on the dive, and he couldn't quite corral it. And that's a base knock for TJ Oster to lead off the inning.
Bit of a rough day for Northrop over at third base. He's just had a lot of balls that aren't necessarily playable. They're kind of past him, over his head. Nothing you can do about it. It's frustrating when you're a corner infielder like that, and you're kind of kicking yourself. You're thinking like, maybe I should have made a play on that, even though you can't make a play on it. It's tough, but just a lot of balls finding their way past Northrop today.
Air Force down 3 with the 9-hole hitter, the shortstop, Ben Neednagel, coming up. They got a runner on and no outs. Top of the 5th inning. Pitch from Myers. Bunt shown. Pushed down the third baseline. Northrop comes to field it. The fire to first in time to record the first out, but it does advance the runner to second. Oster in scoring position now for the Falcons.
Air Force taking a page out of the Cougars books, playing some small ball there. Runner on first base, no outs, laying a bunt down. It was a good bunt, too, down the third base side. Northrop's quick, though. He comes in, makes a play. It's just a great defensive third baseman.
So Air Force gets a runner in scoring position, but they do record their first out of the inning. And they're still down 3 to Washington State. That'll bring the top of the order, Chase Spencer, center fielder, up to bat. Myers checks second. Comes home with the pitch, and that is a little bit low for ball 1 to Spencer.
Had a great play in the bottom of the 4th there to end the inning. It was a line drive up the middle off of the battle. Johnstone came in, made a play. A little center fielder, 2 center fielder action there.
1-0 count. Myers with the rise and fire. It's on the way, and that is a check swing. Look to first, and they say he did not go. And the count goes to 2-0 against Chase Spencer. Grounded out to third in the first inning, then had the drop third strike that bounced off of Cresswell's foot, rolled out to the third base side, and he was able to get aboard, but then he was out with the fielder's choice on the very next at-bat. This one is popped up and drifting foul down the line, and it's caught by Obenauer. The throw to third, way over to Northrup, and that will hold the runner at second. So they recorded their second out with Obenauer drifting towards the chalk line, and he makes the grab. It would have dropped fair if he didn't go grab it, and then he has the rocket arm to fire it across the diamond and hold the runner.
It's good heads-up play there by Obenauer. That's one of those things, you're an outfielder. You see the ball in the air. It's borderline. You don't know if it's going to be fair. You don't know if it's going to be foul. You got to track it down, though. It's also smart, too. That runner is going to be trying to tag up, trying to get into third, and kind of showed off the cannon there a little bit from all the way in right field. Got a pretty good throw into third base. If it would have caught Oster, you don't know, but definitely a good toss from Obenauer.
Fresh count for the catcher. Walker Zapp up to bat with a runner in scoring position and 2 outs. A line drive to third, caught in the hot corner by Kyler Northrup, and that will end the inning. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, 1 runner left on for the Air Force Falcons. Washington State still leads it 4-1 over Air Force. You're listening to KUGR, the student voice of the Palouse, as we head into the bottom of the 5th. It's a 3-run advantage for Washington State over Air Force in Game 1 of the weekend series. It's fireworks night tonight, and there's been some fireworks for the Washington State offense so far. 8 hits in the game, 4 runs have come across, and they have the 3-run lead as we start the bottom of the 5th inning. The catcher, Will Cresswell, will lead it off, followed by the first baseman, Ryan Chauncey, and then the second baseman, Luke Thiel. Those are the Cougars due up, and a good start to this game, trying to maintain their momentum through this game. And Smith, on Tuesday against Gonzaga, we saw them have a good game, and then it kind of trickled off through the end. What do you hope to do for the Cougars here? If you were Coach Choate, what do you say to the team to try to get them through?
We've talked a little bit about it. It's the fact that the Cougs need to play a full 9 innings. That's been their problem all years. They'll play a good 6, 7, maybe 8 innings, and then that 8th, 9th, inning is where it kind of starts to fall apart. So right now they've been consistent, but just try and keep it all the way through.
Cresswell comes up to bat, and he will ground it to third. The field by Adams. The fire to first on a 1-hop is caught right next to the glove of Elmore, and that was a good snag on the reach down, and that's the first out of the inning. Will Cresswell will head back to the dugout.
People like to dog on first basemen a lot and say, "Oh, first base is one of the easiest positions to play in the field," but they say that, but they don't have to pick the ball when it's thrown in from third base or it's thrown in from shortstop, and those guys, can't make it all the way there. So you got to pick it. It's hard. You got to put your body on the line. It's a tough position.
So a 4-1 lead for Washington State brings up Ryan Chauncey after the first out of the inning. He takes strike number 1 right to the heart of the plate, working against Dylan Rogers for the Air Force Falcons. Rogers, one of their senior captains, one of the leaders on the team, one of the lone upperclassmen. He is really kind of on an island out there at the Air Force Academy with this very young team. There's the 0-2 pitch to Chauncey, gets away from Zapp, the catcher, and the count goes to 1-2 now against Chauncey.
A very young Air Force team, a lot of freshmen. Like you said, he's one of the few upperclassmen on the squad.
The 2 upperclassmen pitchers, and this one's grounded to short. Neednagel fires to first, and that's the second out of the inning in as many batters for Washington State. Luke Thiel, the second baseman, will come up with nobody on and 2 outs. The bottom of the 5th inning, 4-1 lead for Washington State. We've got 8 hits so far in this game. Air Force with 6 hits and just 1 run. So Air Force really hasn't been able to convert many opportunities as much as we've been talking about Washington State not converting. It's the Air Force that has left a lot of opportunities on the board. And Thiel will take strike 1.
Yeah, past couple innings for the Cougs haven't been able to really score anything since the first and second inning. So you got to kind of turn things up here late in the game.
The 0-1 pitch from Rogers in for strike 2 to Luke Thiel. Had a 2 RBI single in the first inning, then had the dropped third strike in the bottom of the third. Could not get aboard. He was the first out of the third inning. Now here with nobody on and 2 outs and a 4-1 lead and a swing and a miss, and that will end the bottom of the 5th. It's a 3-up, 3-down inning for Washington State. No runs, no hits, no errors, nobody left on. 4-1, the lead for the Cougars as we head to the top of the 6th inning. Cruising right along here on this Friday evening. Beautiful day in Pullman, Washington. You're listening to KUGR, the student voice of the Palouse. Luke Myers still on the mound for Washington State, and through 5 innings, he only gave up 1 run and 6 hits. Now he's looking to hold the Falcons right where they are as we start the top of the 6th inning. Washington State 4, Air Force 1. Davis Hagen alongside Smith Slye here with you on this Friday evening on KUGR. A beautiful day for baseball. Been really warm today, mid-70s, and the humidity around 20%, so definitely building up a sweat as you walk around campus with all the rolling hills out here on the Palouse. So a 4-1 lead for Washington State as we start the top of the 6th inning. The right fielder, Zach Peters, will lead off for Air Force, followed by the designated hitter, Trip Garrish, and then the left fielder, Christian Taylor. So it's a 3-4-5 batters for the Air Force Falcons as we start the top of the 6th inning. Myers comes set. Wind and the fire. The first pitch is inside, and that's ball 1.
Yeah, the freshman 15 really does not exist here at Wazoo. A lot of hills, and especially right at this time of year, like you said, you're sweating. So
next pitch in for a strike from Luke Myers. The count goes to 1-1. Nice pitch from Luke Myers, but yeah, you kind of build up 15 pounds in your calves is really what they mean. 1-1 count. The offering and a line drive to short over the top of Roy, who did a split jump leap to try to catch it, and it just sails over the top of his head, and that's a base hit for Zach Peters to lead off the inning for Air Force.
We've been talking about a lot. Gavin Roy is just a really talented athlete. So again, he's not the tallest guy, so that ball gets over his head, but he can really jump and kind of shorten the distance. Close, really kind of almost like looks like it tipped off his glove a little bit. So he can really jump. He just couldn't quite snare that one.
Designated hitter, Trip Garrish, up to bat for the Falcons. First offering low in the dirt. Cresswell scrambles for it and then takes a look at first to hold Peters there, and the count goes to 1-0. Gavin Roy, a really good shortstop for Washington State. He makes a ton of athletic plays. That one would have probably been at the top of the charts if he would have been able to make that catch. 4-1 lead for Washington State, and a swing and a miss from Trip Garrish, and the count goes to 1-1. Top of the 6th inning. And again, the Cougars leading by 3, but can they hold on to this lead? That's been the question all season long for this Washington State team. They start strong, and then they kind of taper off towards the end of games. They had 3 runs in the first, 1 in the second, but they've been scoreless since. Ground ball to second. Field over to make the snag and flip it to first to Shonsby, who record the out. And Peters advances to second.
Smart play by Luke Thiel coming in on that ball. He's too far away to think about turning it. Also, it's a bit of a chopping ground ball, so you can't quite get the double play there, but just shorten up a little bit, make a little quick flip to first base. Don't risk trying to throw overhand and you end up tossing it into the Air Force dugout, something like that. Just try and, keep it simple. We like to say, keep it simple, stupid. That's how it works for baseball. So.
Fresh count for Christian Taylor, the left fielder, working against Luke Myers. And this one is outside. Cresswell slides over to his right to make the grab. And the count goes to 1-0. So the right-handed batter, right-handed pitcher. Washington State leads it 4-1, top of the sixth inning. 1 out, runner on second. Both teams have had goose eggs the last 3 innings. This pitch skied high, and it's drifting backwards and going to go foul, and duck and cover mode activated for all the fans right behind home plate up into the next couple of rows, and they saw it bounce off the top of the press box, so they're all right. The count goes to 1-1 against Christian Taylor.
If we didn't have a roof here, we might be able to reach out and possibly just grab it.
Yeah, got to make sure your hands stay okay, though. That's the big question for the broadcasters. If you don't have a glove and you try to barehand it, are you going to be okay? Swing and a miss from Christian Taylor, and the count goes to 1-2.
People don't realize there's a reason why they got gloves out there in the field. You don't want to be barehanding that. You know what I mean?
Oof, man, especially with these athletes in the modern age with the metal bats. It's coming in hot. A 1-2 count against Taylor. The pitch from Myers is high, and the count goes to 2-2. So Cougars up 3, trying to hold Air Force from scoring. Peters at second with 1 out. Now giving up 7 hits to the Falcons. Myers still on the mound after 5 full innings, still here in the top of the 6th. A 2-2 count. The pitch on the way, and a swing and a miss from Christian Taylor. And Myers puts him down for the 2nd out of the inning.
3rd strikeout of the night for Luke Myers. He's been really hot. He's only given up 1 run so far. Now you got 2 outs in the top of the 6th inning with a runner on second base. So Luke Myers he's been really locked down so far. And if he can get out of this inning, then I wouldn't be surprised if you see him go into the 7th.
Luke Myers has done a really good job in this game. Even though he's given up the 7 hits, it hasn't been disastrous for Washington State. He's also had great help around him on the defensive side from his infield and outfield teammates. Elmore up to bat, the first baseman, takes strike number 1. Still a 4-1 lead for Washington State. Top of the 6th inning, rolling right along in this game. Only about an hour and a half through and already into the 6th inning. Still a beautiful day. The sun has set, so the entire field kind of darker than it was to start the game when it was this bright yellow sun shining on it, and this ball is fouled down the third baseline from Elmore. Count goes to 0-2. The sun kind of going behind the wall in left field. So just a little shade kind of being prevented from encompassing the entire field. A little sliver of sun out in the right field wall where Obenauer is playing. 0-2 count against Luke Elmore with 2 outs. Air Force down 3, and this pitch is high for ball 1, and the count goes to 1-2 against Elmore, who hangs in there, and Luke Myers really has done a good job in this game for Washington State, trying to just go all the way through. After Tuesday was a bullpen game against Gonzaga, here on Friday, Luke Myers has taken the position of the bell cow for Washington State. This pitch gets away from Cresswell, and the count goes to 2-2, and Peters gets to third.
It's a tough one for your Will Cresswell. That's another, I believe it's the second ball so far that's really gotten away from him. He's been trying to block it, just kicks away. It's the things that, catchers, they learn how to be able to contain the ball. It's just not quite working for Cresswell. So, and that's free 90 that you just gave to Peters. So they can capitalize on it, because now, Elmore, 2-2 count, gets a pitch to hit here, drives in a run. That cuts the lead down to 4-2. So you need to get out of this if you're Luke Myers.
Air Force trying to cut the lead down from 3 for Washington State. Runner on third. This one's fouled off down the first baseline. The count stays at 2-2 for Luke Elmore, who had a base hit in the second inning, lined out to center in the 4th. Logan Johnstone, the center fielder for Washington State, had a couple of line drives come right to him, made a couple nice charging plays to hold the runners where they are for the Air Force Falcons. That's part of the reason why they only have 1 run in 7 hits. A 2-2 count against Elmore. Myers comes set. The offering is lined into center. Here comes Johnstone. He can't quite get there in time, and it bounces off a 1-hop into his glove, and Air Force brings in a run. Zach Peters comes across.
That's a tough one for Johnson. You got to come in, you got to get a read on it, and it's tough because if you think that you can make that play, you lay out, it gets past you, then now that run scores and the runner will get into second, maybe third, depending on how far behind you it gets, and then or you can let it drop, run scores, you keep the runner at first. I mean, bit smart play by Johnson, but just kind of a lose-lose situation.
Now Alex Adams, a third baseman, up to bat. He squares to bunt. He pops it up towards the pitcher's mound, and Myers makes the catch and ends the inning. The score now 4-2 after Air Force brings in 1 run on 2 hits, no errors, and a runner left on for the Falcons. We will head to the bottom of the 6th inning. 4-2, the lead for Washington State. You're listening to KUGR, the student voice of the Palouse. Air Force able to cut into the Washington State lead in the top of the 6th inning. They brought in 1 run on 2 hits, but it's still 4-2 advantage Cougars as we start the bottom of the 6th inning. Designated hitter Griffin Myers will lead it off, and then the bottom of the order, left fielder Jonah Scholl and the 9-hole hitter third baseman Kyler Northrup due up for Washington State. So 7-8-9 for Washington State to start the bottom of the 6th. Griffin Myers has gotten an increased role as of late for Washington State, playing the position of designated hitter today for the Cougars. He takes strike number 1 from Dylan Rogers, the senior for Air Force. Now an 0-1 count against Myers. The pitch from Rogers is chopped right back up the middle. The shortstop, Niednagel, comes to clean it up, and he fires to first and gets the out.
Good play there by Niednagel, drifting over to the, directly up the middle, has to kind of jump to reach and pull that ball down, throw across. I mean, throws in the dirt there, but just a good pick by Elmore to hold on to it, make the out there. And now it's the 3rd straight ground out from Griffin Myers in this game. Grounded out to second in the 1st and 3rd, and now he just grounded out to short.
So still a 4-2 lead for Washington State. Jonah Scholl up to bat, the 8-spot hitter, the left fielder for Washington State, takes strike number 1. He's also grounded out twice, once to third and once to short. The pitch on the way, and that is in for strike number 2. Jonah Scholl takes it looking, bounces chest to the dugout with the 2-strike hitting of the Cougars, a position of pride for them. The 0-2 pitch on the way, that is inside, almost on the elbows for Jonah Scholl, and the count goes to 1-2. Rogers wind in the pitch on a 1-2. Ground ball to third is going to go foul, and the count stays at 1-2.
One of the things you'll see with the Cougs do on 2 strikes is they a lot of times aren't going to swing at that 0-2 pitch because it's going to be a swing and miss pitch. They might not be trying to get it in the zone, and that's plate discipline. So you think that the pounding their chest is to be aggressive, but it can also be to take a step back sometimes.
This ball is cracked to short. Niednagel fields it, the fire to first, and they barely get Jonah Scholl in time, and that's the 2nd out of the inning for the Air Force Falcons. Niednagel has been everywhere for Air Force.
That was a good play by Niednagel. I mean, the first one in the inning, he had drift over to his left up the middle to make that play. That one, he goes over to his right, plays it off the backhand. He had to slide for it. It's where the turf helps a little bit. If it was dirt, it would have been a little bit harder. Turf kind of helps you slide over and make that play.
Dylan Rogers will fire it into the 9-hole hitter, the third baseman Kyler Northrup, and the count goes to 1-0. So still a 2-run advantage for Washington State. Rogers with the 1-0 pitch on the way, and that is just a bit inside for ball 2 to Kyler Northrup, who is 2 for 2 so far today. He's had a couple of tough plays at third to make, but he's done really good on offense. This ground ball to third, diving attempt made by Adams. The fire to first across the diamond bounces off the glove of Elmore, and Northrup gets aboard.
What a play by Adams over at third base. Lays out to make the grab, then gets back to his feet, fires. I mean, it's a long throw, third to first, so he can be kind of used to the turf there. A bit of a one hop into the glove of Elmore, but Elmore just couldn't hold on to it. Again, like I was saying before, first base is a hard position to play. So when everyone always like they want a dog on the first baseman to be like, oh, why couldn't you make that play? So you try to make that grab. It's pretty hard. So Adams kind of needs to get that up in the air a little bit more.
Cougars with a runner on, up by 2 outs in the bottom of the 6th inning. Rogers on the mound. Fires into the leadoff batter, Gavin Roy. A slide attempt from Northrup on a stolen bag, and he's there safely. Kyler Northrup gets to scoring position for Washington State.
Man, Kyler Northrup, he's just been doing it all right now for the Cougs. 3 hits in this ball game. He just stole that base. He stole on a bunt and run situation, ended up on third, came around to score on that. So he's just been kind of putting the team on his back a little bit here.
Northrup trying to single-handedly will this team into the postseason. They need a couple of wins in the later stages of this season. They're down to their last couple of series in Mountain West play, sitting at 8th, down by just 1 game to Air Force, who's in 7th. They need to get into the top 6. This pitch is inside for ball 2 to Gavin Roy, the shortstop for Washington State. Runner in scoring position, up by 2 in the bottom of the 6th. This one is skied towards right, going to drift foul and bounce off the fence of the bullpen for the Air Force Falcons, and the count will go to 2-1 against Gavin Roy.
Good effort from Peters out in right field, drifting over. You never know if maybe there's an opportunity to make that catch. I mean, that ball did bounce off the fence, though, so it's where playing in the outfield can kind of tire you out sometimes. You're having to go chase after all these balls that you don't know if you have a play on, so you can kind of get a little winded after the game.
2-1 count against Roy. Rogers checks second, comes home with the pitch on the 2-1. Ground ball to short. Neednagel fields it and has no play to make. Gavin Roy gets aboard, and Northrup gets to third. Washington State now with a runner in prime scoring position and a chance to extend their lead to 3 here in the bottom of the 6th. Now they've got 10 hits on the day.
We were mentioning they average 9, so now they're a bit above average on the night. We're still only in the 6th inning, so a lot more time left to be able to put up some more runs. But this inning, which started off with 2 ground outs, it was looking like it wasn't going to be a whole lot of production. And, starts with Kyler Northrup. Now it's Gavin Roy, and now it's going to be Ollie Obenauer to see if he can't get something going.
2-spot hitter, right fielder Ollie Obenauer up for Washington State. Runners in the corners. 4-2 lead. The first pitch on the way. Ground ball back to the pitcher's mound. Rogers fields it, will flip it to first, and that is the final out of the inning. And Washington State squanders a big-time opportunity after their 4th inning with multiple hits in this game. They still failed to put in a run for the 4th straight inning. Washington State still does have the lead 4-2 after no runs come across on 2 hits, no errors, 2 runners left on, and the big one was Northrup stranded at third. So we will head to the top of the 7th, and you are listening to KUGR, the student voice of the Palouse.
Zero runs scored in the 3rd, 0 runs scored in the 4th, 0 in the 5th, and 0 in the 6th. The Cougs have had 4 straight scoreless innings, as it is now 4-2. Cougars still leading it, but Air Force trying everything they possibly can to claw their way back into this one, as it is the 8-hole hitter, TJ Oster, starting things out here in the top of the 7th. Luke Myers still on the mound as he fires in the 0-0, blown outside for ball 1. Oster, 2 for 2 tonight, 2 singles. Got stranded both times. See if he can't go 3 for 3. As he lines this one into right field. Obenauer coming in to make the catch and spoils Oster's 1,000 average on the night. Makes it 2 for 3 for Oster. It's the first out of the top of the 7th.
Yeah, good play from Obenauer. That one was way easier to make than the other one earlier in the game against Christian Taylor. When Christian Taylor got the double, Obenauer was way back at the wall. This one, he's easily coming in to make the grab.
It's going to bring up the 9-hole hitter, Ben Niednagel, who's had a couple of great plays in the field, especially in the bottom of the 6th we just saw. Here's the 0-0. Swing on, foul, back into the net, almost drops into the Cougar dugout. Falls behind here, 0-1 against Luke Myers, who has been pitching pretty phenomenally so far today. He's gone 6 innings, trying to go as long as he possibly can to put as little pressure on the Cougar bullpen as he can. 0-1 count from Niednagel. Here's the pitch. Outside corner, just clips it for strike 2. Niednagel does not like that call. Bit of a borderline call. Good frame job by Will Cresswell. No balls, 2 strikes, 1 out. Here's the pitch from Myers, squaring a bunt. He'll get it down the third base side. Can it stay fair? Northrup has to make a play on it. Throw to first base, not in time. Niednagel, the 9-hole hitter, lays down a bunt down the third base side. Caught Kyler Northrup sleeping, and he's on board with a 1-out single.
Yeah, so many hits in this game. That's 9 for Air Force, 10 for Washington State, almost to 20 total hits between the two teams.
And Niednagel was 0 for 2 coming into that bat, so he breaks his 0 for cycle with a little bunt base hit. No better way to do it. As they will flip over the lineup card, and we'll have Chase Spencer starting it off with 1 out here in the top of the 7th. Niednagel on first base. Luke Myers will step off, reset. And just sometimes you get on the mound, you think you're ready to go, something happens, you need to step off, reset a little bit, as Nathan Choate's going to call a mound visit here and bring in the entire infield, including Will Cresswell. 1 out here in the top of the 7th. Cougs leading 4-2 over Air Force. They have a 1-out base runner in the 9-hole hitter Niednagel at first base, and the leadoff man Chase Spencer up to the plate.
Yeah, Chase Spencer's been good this season in the leadoff spot for the Air Force Falcons, but today really hasn't had all that much success. A ground down to third, fly out to right field, and then he had that drop third strike in the 3rd inning where he eventually got on and then got out with the fielder's choice.
So it's a quick mound visit. Nathan Choate will make the slow saunter back to the dugout. And Chase Spencer will have to dig himself back into the righty's batter's box. Luke Myers trying to extend his night as long as he can. Here's the first pitch to Spencer. Here it is. Lower outside half, gets it for strike 1. The strike zone is beginning to expand a little bit. They started off very narrow, very small at the start of this ball game. It's starting to expand a bit. Some of those calls that weren't really going his way before, he's getting them now. Here's the pitch. Low and outside for ball 1. Niednagel had a fake steal over at first base. The fake steal is very underrated in baseball. It's a very useful tactic. Getting the head of the pitcher or the catcher. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out. 1 runner on. Long hold by Myers. Pickoff attempt into the glove of Shawnsby, not in time. And again, there's that kind of tell where when he's holding for a really long time, it's kind of how you know he's going to go over to first base. Count remains 1 ball, 1 strike for Spencer. 2-run ball game. Cougs still leading it. Here's the 1-1. Breaking ball outside, misses for ball 2. Good take by Spencer, not to offer at it. Spencer reached back in the 3rd on the drop 3rd. Grounded out and flew out as well in this game. Trying to get his first hit of the game. That pitch misses low for ball 3. Hitters count now for Spencer. 3 balls, 1 strike, 1 out, 1 runner on.
Yeah, big spot for Washington State to try to put this to 2 outs instead of 1 out. This would be a really good springboard into the later half of the game if they can get this.
Here's a 3-1 from Myers. Swung on, grounded over to Gavin Roy. He'll flip to second base. They get the out there. Throw to first base in time. 6, 4, 3. Gavin Roy turns a double play, and Luke Myers gets off the hook. The score remains 4-2. Cougars still leading it. Luke Myers just refuses to give up runs. We're going to move into the bottom of the 7th. You're listening to Cougar Baseball on KUGR. Don't you dare go away. We will be right back. Gavin Roy to Luke Thiel to Ryan Shonsby to get the 6-4-3 double play to close out the top of the 7th, and hang a goose egg for Air Force. Score remains 4-2. Cougars still leading as Logan Johnstone is going to kick things off for the bottom of the 7th. Cougs trying to extend their 2-run lead here late in the ball game. It'll be Logan Johnstone, Will Cresswell, and then Ryan Shonsby. First pitch, Johnstone misses low and outside for ball 1. Johnstone had a line drive up the middle into center field that ended up being caught. Try and turn things around as he lines this one in the center field. That one will not be caught. Logan Johnstone gets his second hit of the ball game. A leadoff single to kick things off in the bottom of the 7th.
Well, now Washington State, every inning but the bottom of the 5th, they've had a hit in. That's 11 in the game so far, and that's a huge reason why they have, obviously, 4 runs, but that's why it feels like they're in control of this game.
Brings up the starting catcher, Will Cresswell, the senior, the native Auburn Washingtonian. He's got a runner on first base, no outs, a 2-run lead. The Cougars hungry to extend that. Dylan Rogers still on the mound for Air Force as he delivers the 0-0. Swung on, fouled out to the right field side, and Will Cresswell has 1 strike on him. Will Cresswell, a true Coug, loves this program. This program loves him. He's got a lot of fans here in Bailey and Brayton. Rogers delivers. Line, foul, right field side, just off the batting cages into the bullpen for Air Force. Makes it an 0-2 count for Will Cresswell.
Yeah, back-to-back foul balls for Cresswell. He is really feeling good against Rogers, it seems. He knows that he had a double earlier in this game, and now a big opportunity for him again, now with the runner on and nobody out.
Let's see if Rogers goes to the breaking ball here. He'll actually go for a pickoff attempt, not in time to trying to catch Logan Johnstone. Johnstone definitely a base running threat. Very fast member of this Cougar squad. No balls, 2 strikes for Cresswell. Rogers trying to pick up his 3rd strikeout of the night. He'll instead opt to throw over to first again, and also still not catching Logan Johnstone.
Yeah, the interesting thing for Johnstone is he leads the Mountain West in caught stealing along with Zapp and Taylor from Air Force. They're all tied at first with 3.
2 strikes now for Cresswell, and another pickoff attempt over to first base. Johnstone getting a mouthful of turf, diving back 3 straight times now. I mentioned before, there's no limit on how many times you can pick over in college. It can get very grueling at times. Here's the 0-2. Swung on and fouled. 3 straight pitches and 3 straight foul balls for Will Cresswell.
Yeah, it feels like ages since the last foul ball went into the bullpen of the Falcons, but Cresswell still locked in, still trying to get a knock.
It's the 2-strike hitting philosophy of the Cougs shining through. They refuse to die. Another pickoff attempt. Now, if the pattern holds, he'll pick off 2 more times, then pitch, then pick off 2 more times, and then pitch.
Well, patterns in sports are definitely a real thing, but they are patterns for a reason, and they can be broken.
Rogers looking for strikeout number 3. Here's the pitch. Low in the dirt. Gets away. Runners going to take off for second base. It gets past him into center field. He'll move into third. Logan Johnstone on the stolen base attempt finds himself on third base with no outs here in the bottom of the 7th. And an opportunity to be driven home and make it a 5-2 ball game.
Yeah, if that one didn't get away, it seemed like Johnstone was going to get tagged out at second, but that one just goes wayward and into center field, and Johnson with the heads-up play to get to third.
You saw Zapp kind of panic there. The ball in the dirt blocked it, had to pick it up, had to fire down the second base, goes wide. So why you got to take a breath and slow down a little bit if you're a catcher. It's Will Cresswell. Here's the pitch. Swung on, lifted into right field, backing up Peters, who will make the catch. Johnstone will tag. He'll come home, and it is a 5-2 ball game. Cougars leading after Will Cresswell gets a sacrifice fly to right field. And Air Force showing some cracks here late in this ball game.
Yeah, good job by Cresswell. He was fouling him off, and then finally drills one deep enough to get Johnstone to come home.
It's the first time the Cougs have scored since the second inning. Finally broken their pattern of scoreless innings. Here's the first pitch. Scoring to bunts. Shonsby trying to get it down. Just misses low and outside for ball 1.
Well, there you go. Talk about patterns, and then they're patterns, not exactly guarantees for a reason, and then boom, a score.
1-0 count for Ryan Shonsby. Here's the pitch. Scoring to bunt. Pulls back again. This one catches the outside corner for strike 1. Shonsby really trying to sell that one. Makes it a 1-ball, 1-strike, 1-out count. Here's the pitch. Bender outside for ball 2. That one got away from Rogers a little bit. 75-mile-per-hour slider just could not bring it back over the heart of the plate.
Yeah, and it's interesting with this time of day, starting to get a little darker, but still kind of dusk, so a little bit harder to see the baseball at times.
Just do one. Swing and a miss on the breaking ball that just fell off the table. Shonsby couldn't connect on it. Evens up the count. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 1 out. Definitely the lighting system here does help when the sun goes down, still being able to see. So here's the 2-2. Swung on, lifted, foul, left field side, off the roof of the concession stand and into the parking lot. Count's going to stay at 2 balls, 2 strikes. Bailey and Brayton definitely beautiful this time of year and this time of day, right around dusk. Here's the pitch. Swing and a miss. Rogers gets strikeout number 3 for out number 2 in this inning. Cougs still leading 5-2. Rogers trying to battle himself back into this one. It's going to bring up the second baseman, Luke Thiel, who had an RBI single back in the first, but had then struck out in the third and struck out in the 5th. And he's coming off the heels of that Ryan Shonsby strikeout, as pitch number 1 misses outside for ball 1. Cougs looking for some 2-out production from their second baseman. Here's the pitch. Check swing. Did he go? They say he did. Strike number 1 evens it up. 1 ball, 1 strike, 2 outs. Cougs leading 5-2 here in the bottom of the 7th. Here's the 1-1. Swung on, lined up the middle. Base knock for Luke Thiel. 1 hops into the glove of Spencer out in center. It's a 2-out single for the Cougs.
A good hit from Luke Thiel to get aboard, his second hit of the day, and trying to make up from that disastrous error on Tuesday. But not Thiel, Jonas Scholl, sorry, my bad. Totally different person. Keep going.
I know that the train of thought was there,
Yeah.
yes. There's going to be a mound visit here. The head coach for Air Force is going to slowly walk out to the mound. The head coaches they take their time when they walk out there. They really don't have anywhere to be. They're going to bring in the whole infield here. Try and slow down the game a little bit. 2-out hits are one of the most brutal things you can give up as a defense. All you need is 1 out to get to the next inning. They get another guy up. It's at that point just becomes pass the torch to the next guy, and then to the next guy, and to the next guy. And you can see an inning that maybe you only gave up 1 run. Now all of a sudden you give up 5. You all of a sudden give up 6 or something like that. That's where 2-out hitting is super important in baseball.
Yeah, especially to a guy with Griffin Myers that's got 3 straight groundouts in his 3 at-bats. If you give up 1 now, that really kind of stings.
Because if he gets his 4th ground out here, he'll have the golden sombrero for ground outs. Not sure what you would call that. Silver sombrero? Something along those lines. As the mound visit will break, they'll move back to their positions. Dylan Rogers will climb back up the mound, and Griffin Myers will dig himself back into the lefty's batter's box. With 2 outs and a runner on. Here's the first offering. Breaking ball in there for strike 1. If you wanted to pitch to hit, that was it. Breaking ball kind of over the heart of the plate would have been a good ball to mash. As Rogers comes set. 0-1 count. Here's the pitch. Swung on, fouled, up, and just out of play and out of the ballpark. Actually, it hits off the little brick wall back into the stands. Fan makes a nice little grab on it. Makes it an 0-2 count.
It's a good thing we're not sitting outside today. That could have been dangerous for us.
I think that went right where our desk would have been if we were set up outside. Here's the 0-2 to Myers. This is outside for ball 1. Great take. Good 2-strike approach from Myers.
Yeah, Washington State really good with the 2 strikes against them. Griffin Myers, as we mentioned, getting more playing time. That's part of the reason. He's very good at the plate.
Griffin Myers trying to go 1 for 4. Pickoff attempt over. Check in on Luke Thiel. Not in time. Just trying to keep him close. And Griffin Myers 0 for 3 so far, as we mentioned, with 3 ground outs. If he gets a base knock here, he'd be batting .250 on the day. Let's see if he can get another 2-out hit to follow up Luke Thiel's. Here's the 1-2. Swung on, grounded, over to third baseman Adams, who gloves it, throws the first base in time to get the out, and that'll close the book on the 7th inning. The Cougs do scrape 1 across, making it 5-2. As we move into the top of the 8th, Air Force running out of opportunities to climb back into this one. You're listening to Cougar Baseball on KUGR, the student voice of the Palouse. Luke Myers heading into his 8th inning of work as we are stepping into the top of the 8th. Cougs leading 5-2 off of 12 hits, no errors. As it'll bring up the 2-hole hitter Walker Zapp, starting catcher for the Falcons. Sort out some stuff here. And Zapp will finally dig himself into the box. Luke Myers, a very, very, very long outing today. So here's the first pitch of the 8th inning. Swung on, fouled, just off the Falcons dugout. Starts him out with strike 1.
Yeah, but every other inning for Walker Zapp, 1st, 3rd, 5th, and 7th, or now in the 8th. So a little bit more of a gap between the 6th and the 7th inning, but he's still kind of had a lot of time to rest.
0-1 pitch, misses low and in the dirt for Ball one. Will Cresswell couldn't hold on to it. He'll ask for a new ball. And he evens up the count. 1 ball, 1 strike. Yeah, Walker Zapp 0 for 3. Hitting into his 4th at-bat now on the night. Gets a base knock here. He would be batting .250 on the night. Here's the 1-1. This is low in the dirt for ball 2. Cresswell does grab this one. Makes it a 2 ball, 1 strike count with no outs. Here in the top of the 8th, the Cougs leading 5-2 over the Falcons. Walker Zapp trying to break his hitless streak in this game. Here's the pitch. Swung on, lifted, way foul into left field, into the parking lot. That one might just roll all the way to Beasley Coliseum. It's a beautiful part of the Wazoo campus right here. You got Beasley off to the left. You got the rec center out in center field. You got the rolling hills out to the right. All the apartment complexes out there. No better place to play college baseball.
It is a beautiful park for sure, especially in these late evening May games when the sunsets are beautiful and the weather's nice.
2-2 pitch, inside corner, struck him out looking. Walker Zapp picks up his 2nd strikeout of the night. The first one swinging, the second one looking. Luke Myers, strikeout number 4 of the night.
Yeah, I've been really impressed with Luke Myers battling through this entire game and just continuing to play really well. You wouldn't really know that he's been in there this entire game. Just if you came in late to this game and you're watching him or listening, he's been phenomenal this entire time.
It's going to bring up the 3-hole hitter, Zach Peters. He was 1 for 3 tonight. He had a single. So he goes up the first pitch, lines it into right field. Obenauer has to go back. Can he make the catch? That ball is going to bounce off the wall. Obenauer couldn't grab it. Peters is into second base. He's going to think about third. He'll pump the brakes, dive back into second. Obenauer could have made a catch on it, ends up colliding with the wall out in right field. It's a 1-out double for Peters. And the Air Force Falcons have a runner on second base with 1 out here late in the ball game.
Yeah, another tough play for Obenauer to make. That time crashing into the wall. Probably going to feel that one for a little bit, but those are tough plays to make, and Obenauer gave everything he had to try to get there, but that one was really hot off the bat.
So Nathan Choate's going to make his way out to the mound, bring in the whole infield to talk to Luke Myers. And as a freshman, if you're an outfielder, when you're on an all-turf field like this, there's the warning track. The warning track, usually in baseball, the whole point of the warning track is it's a different material. So it's grass and it goes to like gravel or it goes to dirt. So you know when your feet hit that, it makes that sound. You can feel it. You know the wall's coming up.
Yeah.
But the problem with an all-turf field is that turf all feels the same. So when you're going back and you don't have the actual warning track to tell you that you're about to hit the wall. You're going to play a ball, and all of a sudden you're just getting a face full of wall, and that's basically what happened there. He was going back to play it, just kind of collides with the wall. I mean, that's where, the all turf field is nice, but it is nice to be able to have that like gravel warning track, so you don't do what Obenauer just did there and kind of almost kill yourself on that wall, just trying to run and make that play.
Yeah, once you get to the brown, then you got to pump the brakes instead of getting to the wall, but it's hard to look at the brown when you're trying to look at the white tiny object flying at you.
Too many inputs.
Yes.
This is going to bring up the 4-hole hitter, Trip Garish. He'll call time before even seeing a pitch. Adjust his helmet. Air Force trying to lock in here. They have a runner on second base. They're down by 3. They have their 4-hole hitter up with an opportunity to close the gap. Here's the first pitch. Swung on and missed. The breaking ball. First pitch from Myers. Garish just couldn't connect on it. Change up at 81 miles per hour. 0-1 count for Garish. Trying to get some production late in this one. Here's the pitch. Misses high and outside for ball 1. Luke Myers started off the inning strong, got the looking strikeout on Zapp. Gave up that double to Peters. And if he can get Garish out, he can reset the tone for the inning. Here's the 1-1. Low in the dirt, picked by Will Cresswell. Makes it a 2-ball, 1-strike count. Cresswell really working tonight behind the plate, stopping a lot of pass balls. Garish is 1 for 3 so far tonight. He had a single back in the second, struck out, and then ground out. Here's 2-1. Swung on and missed. Couldn't connect on another breaking ball. Makes it a 2-ball, 2-strike count with 1 out and a runner on second base. They're forced down by 3 runs here in the top of the 8th. Luke Myers trying to take care of business. Myers comes set, takes a breath, checks to second. Long hold. Here's the 2-2. Swung on, fouled, straight back into the netting. Garrish just living to see another pitch. Tense situation for Garrish. With runner in scoring position, a base knock into the outfield would score him. Down by 3, they just need to start it off by getting 1. Myers comes set. Here's the pitch. Low in the dirt for ball 3. Fills it up. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 1 out. Here in the top of the 8th. Cougars leading 5-2. Runner on second base for the Falcons. Knocking on the door of making this a 5-3 ball game. Myers comes set. Here's the pitch. Low in the dirt. It's a walk to put Garrish on first base. The first walk given up by Luke Myers in this ball game. And now the Falcons have him parked on first and second with only 1 out and an opportunity to possibly tie up this ball game.
Yeah, this is a big stretch for Washington State, trying to avoid letting Air Force back into this game. You're only up 3, so every little bit counts.
The Falcons bring up one of their hottest hitters tonight, Christian Taylor, who doubled back in the second, singled in the 4th. 2 for 3 tonight, as Nathan Schote will call mound visit motion to the bullpen. And that'll be the night for Luke Myers. He goes 7 1/3 inning, only giving up 2 runs, and the Cougs are going to lean on their bullpen here late in this one. We'll be back after this pitching change. You're listening to Cougar Baseball on KUGR. Please stay with us. We will be right back. So after 7 1/3 innings pitched by Luke Myers, the Cougs will finally dip into the bullpen and call on the right-hander Trevor Stowe to come in and close out this 8th inning. With 2 runners on for the Falcons on first and second, and the 5-hole hitter Christian Taylor coming up to the plate for the Falcons. 1 out in the top of the 8th. Garrish is hot so far, or Taylor, is hot so far tonight. He had a double back in the second. He singled in the 4th. He did strike out in the 6th. But one of the hottest hitters in the lineup right now for the Falcons, with an opportunity to cash in. Stowe's going to come set, take a breath, check to second. Here's the pitch. Outside corner, paints it for strike 1, taken all the way by Christian Taylor.
Well, good start so far for Stowe, getting a strike on the first pitch, getting ahead in the count. Can he continue?
Setting the tone. Here's the 0-1. Swung on and missed. A breaking ball in the dirt. Taylor goes chasing, and he falls behind early. 0-2 against Trevor Stowe. A first batter strikeout would be electric for Stowe. Checks the second base. Here's the 0-2. Swung on, line. Over to Gavin Roy, who can't make a play on it. The runner on second is going to round third. He's going to come home to score. The runner at first will get into third. It's an RBI single for Christian Taylor to make this 5-3, still in favor of the Cougs. But the Falcons trying to turn things around here in the 8th.
A missile off the bat just bounces over Gavin Roy, and he had one go over the top of his head when he jumped. This one he tried to duck and kind of grab, and it goes over the top of him. So a couple of unfortunate plays for Roy, and now Air Force is set up in really good territory.
It's frustrating for Trevor Stowe coming in. The first batter you face gets the RBI single to make it a 2-run ball game. But now he's got to focus his attention to Luke Elmore, starting first baseman for the Falcons. Digs himself into the righty's batter's box. Here's the first offering. High and tight, clips the zone for strike one. Elmore trying to sell it that it was a ball inside. Doesn't work. It is 0-1 with 1 out. Stowe checks to first. Comes set from the stretch. Here's the pitch. Outside corner just misses for ball 1. Trying to paint it. Just couldn't quite get it. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out, 1 error for Air Force. 2 runners on. Will they send the runner at first base? Here's the pitch. Low and outside for ball 2. First and third situation right now for the Falcons. Wouldn't be surprised if they maybe run a hit and run or send the runner on first, Taylor, to second.
Yeah, got a lot to work with just 1 out for the Falcons.
Double play ball would end the inning. The runner's going to take off. No, it's a fake steal. The pitch in. Check swing. Did he go? No. For ball 3. Strike 2, pardon me. Evens it up. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 1 out. Will Cresswell is going to give him the first and third signs. So for those of you who don't know, the catcher will come out. They have a number of plays set up for what to do on the steal attempt on first and third. The catcher will come out, give the signs, tell them what play is going to be run. If they're going to throw down, check to third, cut off the throw to second. So here's a 2-2. Low and outside for ball 3. Fills it up. 3 balls, 2 strikes to Elmore. Trying to keep things going and pick up another RBI for the Falcons. 5-3, Cougs still leading. Stowe's going to come set. Trying to battle on the full count. Here's the pitch. Runner takes off. Inside corner. Caught him looking. First strikeout of the night for Trevor Stowe to sit down Elmore. Taylor will move into second. Garish will hold at third. But now the Falcons have him parked on second and third with 2 outs here in the top of the 8th. Should note that there is a pinch runner in for Garish over at third base. It is Bradshaw, number 40. As it brings up Alex Adams, starting third baseman for the Falcons. With 2 outs and 2 runners in scoring position. Here's the first pitch. Outside corner, painted for strike 1. Trevor Stowe really working batter's box to batter's box here. Working those outside and inside edges. Here's the 0-1. Low outside for ball 1. Evens it up. 1 ball, 1 strike, 2 outs, 2 runners on, both in scoring position. Air Force down by 2. Stowe trying to get out of this inning. Here's the pitch. Breaking ball just misses the outside corner for ball 2. Went to the slider and just missed too far outside with it. 5-3, Cougars leading it. Air Force trying to cut down the lead. Here's the pitch. Swung on, fouled, over the netting, and out of play for strike 2. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, 2 runners on. Falcons down by 2. Adams for the Falcons trying to tie up this ball game. Here's the pitch. Swung on and missed. It hit him on the hand, but he swung through it. Cresswell will track down the ball, toss to first base. It's another strikeout for Trevor Stowe to end the inning in a painful way for Adams. And that'll close the book on the top of the 8th. We'll move into the bottom of the 8th. Air Force able to put up 1 run, make this a 5-3 ball game. Cougs still leading. And we will be right back. You're listening to Cougar Baseball on KUGR. Please stay with us. So the Falcons are going to send the previous strikeout call on Adams to review. The Cougar fielders are going to retake the field for now, as two of the field crew officials will go to make the review and come back shortly with that. So we will be back when they come back with their official ruling as to whether it was a strikeout and the inning has concluded. Nathan Choate pleading his case to the home plate umpire right now. We'll be right back after they get this ruling confirmed or denied. You're listening to Cougar Baseball on KUGR. Please stay with us. We will be right back in a little bit. So we weren't sure what exactly they were challenging, but the call comes back and it stands. Adams does strike out, and we will move to the bottom of the eighth. Cougs still leading 5-3 as we move into the late stage of this ball game. You're listening to Cougar Baseball on KUGR, the student voice of the Palouse. Please stay with us. As we move into the bottom of the ninth, it'll be number 9, Dylan Rogers for Air Force, pitching against number 9, Jonah Scholl. As the Cougs lead at 5-3 here, off of 12 hits. Air Force right there with them neck and neck with 11 hits, but only able to tally 3 runs so far. So we're in the late stage of this ball game. The Cougs trying to close it out. I mentioned before, a key for them to being able to win this game is to play a full 9 innings. They've played 7 so far. Can they play 8 and then play 9?
Yeah, this is the part of the game for Washington State that seems to always break down, and the car just kind of gets stuck on the side of the road, and the other team whizzes past them to get to the finish line. But this game has a different feeling almost, that even though they've given up 11 hits, only 3 runs, they've got 12 hits themselves, 5 runs. So it seems like they have been in control most of this game, and they just need to finish it out and finish strong.
The head coach for Air Force is going to bog things down here in the bottom of the 8th, still chirping at the home plate umpire, still trying to plead his case about the Adams situation, even though the play went to review and was confirmed. Kicking a dead horse, one might say.
When else are you going to be able to kick a horse?
Don't do it when it's alive.
No, they'll get you.
He's still belaboring the point. He's still arguing. The home plate umpire getting increasingly frustrated. I wouldn't be surprised to see the head coach get thrown out in this game.
Yeah, I think you've got to draw the line somewhere if you're the home plate umpire. You can't let him just run all over you out there. You got to stand up for yourself.
The crowd on hand here, Bailey and Brayton does not like it. Couple boos, couple jeers at the head coach for the Air Force.
Well, this will be interesting to see what happens in this next couple of moments for the rest of this series. If tensions maybe get heated, or if, Air Force decides to, sometimes a coach might get thrown out to try to jolt their team through. So I don't know if that's his strategy or if he's just very passionate about that last play, but the Cougars, they want to go out there. Jonah Scholl wants to bat. He kind of is standing around, waving the bat around. Looks frustrated.
Crowd getting rowdy. The Cougar dugout encouraging it, and the home plate umpire along with the other crew chiefs will come together. The crowd here does not like it. They want to get to the bottom of the 8th. Jonah Scholl wants to get to the bottom of the 8th. And the Air Force just kind of throwing a wrench in the gears of this game.
Yeah, I just don't know what they could be arguing about still. They reviewed it, they confirmed it, and it probably shouldn't have been reviewed to begin with.
Beautiful night here in Pullman. Sun's almost completely gone down. Just the last remaining shades of dusk. Blue skies off towards left field, more darker skies off towards right. The lighting system keeping the field illuminated, and an amazing crowd on hand tonight for the Cougs. Like I mentioned before, it's been interesting. We got this many people pulling up. It is move out week for Wazoo. It's also graduation week. So the fact they're able to pull this many people out, when you think about it, it'll probably be a pretty good time for it. Families are in town to come move people out. They're also in town for graduation, maybe coming to watch their last baseball game as a Coug. And the umpires will finally break. The home plate umpire talking to the Air Force coach from his dugout. And we will finally get things underway. To thunderous applause from the Cougs as we are finally underway. And Jonah Scholl, who was waiting patiently, will finally be rewarded. Dylan Rogers will wind and fire. Inside for ball 1. When you really think about it, that's probably not going to help Air Force in terms of getting calls. If you're constantly complaining to the umpire, it's not going to work well for you. This next pitch just catches the inside corner for strike 1. Gives it up, 1 ball, 1 strike, nobody on. Cougs still leading 5-3 here in the bottom of the 8th. Trying to close out this ball game. Here's the pitch. Swung on, lifted into right field. Drifting foul. Will it get down? Yes, it does. It one hops against the fence. Peters doesn't have a play on it. And it makes it a 1 ball, 2 strike count for Jonah Scholl, who so far is 0 for 3. Grounded out to third in the second, grounded out to short in the fourth, grounded out to short in the 6th. Trying to break the cycle. He's got 2 strikes on him now against Rogers. who from the windup delivers. Swung on, grounded up the middle. Isn't going to be able to get through. No. Shortstop will make a play, but he does not throw to first base. Jonah Scholl gets his first hit of the ball game on a ball up the middle that Neednagel couldn't quite make a throw on. Now the Cougs have a no-out base runner on first base.
Yeah, similar play happened earlier in the game where it almost bounced off of second right up the middle. This one bounces off the pitcher's mound, and it's a tough field for Neednagel, who ended up grabbing it, but he didn't have enough time to make the throw to make any sort of challenge to Scholl before he got to first.
It's going to bring up Kyler Northrup, filling out the 9-hole. He is 3 for 3 today with 3 straight singles. Don't think you can find a player on this Cougar roster who is more hot than Kyler Northrup. Pickoff attempt trying to catch Jonah Scholl sleeping. He is wide awake as he dives back in there. Rogers trying not to let the Cougs slip away from him. They were able to pick up a run back in the top of the 8th. Only down by 2. Here's the first pitch. In the first strike, throw it on second base. He's going to get into center field. Jonah Scholl will not try and take third. So stolen base for Jonah Scholl, who actually is being pinch run for by Cole Watterson. And now the Cougs have a runner parked on second base in scoring position with only 1 out, and it is strike 1 to Kyler Northrup. Runner in scoring position, no outs. Cougs up 5-3 here in the bottom of the 8th. Rogers trying to stop the bleeding. As the head coach for Air Force will bark some more at the home plate umpire. They will call time. They'll call a mound visit now. And the Air Force really not building up a lot of goodwill with the home plate umpire. Good situation now for Kyler Northrup. As I mentioned before, he's 3 for 3. He has 3 straight singles. Came around to score back in the second. He's got a runner in scoring position now. If there was anyone the Cougs would want up to bat right now, it would be Kyler Northrup to possibly drive in a run.
That's who I'd put my money on, Northrup to bring home Watterson, who is definitely a speedster and can work his way around the bases. When he was playing last year at North Region in the Edmonds Community College in the NWAC, he had 46 of 52 stolen bases on the year. So he's definitely a guy that can rack him up.
Rogers can come set here from the stretch. Here's the 0-1. Squaring the bunt. Northrup's going to get it down. The third baseman, Adams, fields it. Throws to first base. In time to get the out, but he moves Watterson into third. And now the Cougs have a runner on third base with only 1 out, and Gavin Roy coming up to the plate.
Really nice job by Northrup to advance the runner, and he was on his horse to try to get to first. He almost beat it out, but did a really nice job.
Very unselfish baseball from Kyler Northrup. He's 3 for 3 tonight. He could have possibly thought about going 4 for 4, but instead lays down a sacrifice bunt and sets up runner on third base with Gavin Roy up to the bat. He's 2 for 3 tonight with 2 singles. If he can pick up single number 3, would drive in a run. Here's the first pitch. Swung on, grounded a chopper to the first baseman. No, the second baseman who fields, runs to first base to get the out. But Cole Watterson will score. It is now 6-2-3 off an RBI by Gavin Roy. The Cougs just continuing to put up some runs.
Yeah, that's good for Washington State to extend their lead by 3 now. A little more comfortable, but still not quite perfect for them. They would probably like to have more at this point in the game with 13 hits, only 6 runs, but just getting that one kind of feels better than it does in almost every other game this year.
First pitch to Ollie Obenauer in there for strike 1. Obenauer looking at a blank canvas now. Nobody on, 2 outs. 6-3 Cougar lead late in this ball game, bottom of the 8th. Here's the 0-1. Swung on, grounded, just fair. It's going to get into right field. Obenauer is going to round first. He's going to have extra bases. He'll shut it down at second base. It's a 2-out double for Ollie Obenauer. The true freshman hits the Cam Ward Selly out at second base. The Cougs with some 2-out production.
Yeah, I don't think you could hit that one much better than Ollie Obenauer did. It was not much. There's probably an index card difference between going foul or fair and it ends up going fair for Ollie Obenauer, and it rolls all the way into the corner towards foul territory, and right fielder Peters really had to scramble over to try to get it, and that gave Ollie Obenauer plenty of time to get to second.
Baseball's a game of inches, and as you mentioned, just barely scrapes into fair territory. They don't ask how, they ask how many, as it brings up the 3-hole hitter, Logan Johnstone, with an opportunity to get a 2-out RBI. Rogers checks the second. Here's the pitch. Swung on, grounded, over to the first baseman, foul. That one unable to stay in fair territory.
Very similar play, a little more bouncy than Ollie Obenauer's. That was just a liner right down the turf. But for Johnstone, similar play. That one just bounces a little bit to the right and goes foul.
So Rogers is going to get a new ball, step back up onto the mound. Take his time now as Logan Johnstone digs himself back in. No balls, 1 strike, 2 outs. Looking for a 2-out RBI. Rogers, the pitch. Low in the dirt, blocked by Zapp. It's ball number 1, Johnstone. Cougs leading 6-3 here, bottom of the 8th. They've already put up 1. They are looking to put up run number 2 of the inning. Rogers comes set, checks to second. Long hold, here's the pitch. Outside for ball 2. Johnstone trying to work himself into a good count here. He's the long ball leader for the Cougs. If he gets himself in a good count, gets a good pitch to hit, I wouldn't be surprised to see it sailing over the right field wall. Rogers coming sets. The 2-1, here it is. Swung on, line, into right field. Obenauer, they're going to give him the green light. He's going to round third. He's going to come home to score. The throw to the plate is not in time. It was bobbled. Obenauer will score. Logan Johnstone, a 2-out RBI to right field. 7-3. The Cougs lead it late in this one.
Great hustle from Ollie Obenauer to get there, and then the slight bobble from Zapp. It seemed like if that was a clean tag, Obenauer probably could be a bang-bang play to get him out, but he still slides in head first, makes the play, and now Washington State has a 4-run advantage.
So the pitching coach for Air Force will call him out and visit, bring in the infield, as this game seems to be slipping further and further out of the Falcons' talents. Cougs putting up 2 runs so far this inning, making it 7-3. They have 15 hits in this game. We mentioned before they were averaging 9. They've smashed that quota and just continue to hit the ball. RBI from Logan Johnstone and Gavin Roy so far this inning. Two-out production is, we mentioned it before, 2-out production is what makes or breaks a baseball team, especially at the college level. And so far, the Cougs have been able to get some critical 2-out production. As the Falcons will go to the bullpen, they'll bring in a reliever to try and slow things down, slow down the bleeding. We'll be back after he warms up. You're listening to Cougar Baseball as the Cougs take the lead 7-3 late in this ball game. We'll be right back. So after 5 2/3 inning, Dylan Rogers will take a seat for the Falcons. It'll now be Easton Miller, number 32, another right-hander for the Falcons, coming in relief in this one, trying to slow the bleeding as the Cougs pull away 7-3 with 2 runs scored so far here in the bottom of the 8th. It's Will Cresswell up with 2 outs and a runner on first base in Logan Johnstone. Easton Miller from the stretch. Here's the first pitch. Low and in the dirt for ball 1. And the first pitch can tell a lot about a pitcher's outing. The first pitch from Easton Miller is a ball low in the dirt. Will Cresswell looking to keep the hit streak going here with some 2-out production. Here's the 1-0. Low and outside for ball 2. Will Cresswell gets ahead. 2 balls, no strikes. There's a fake steal attempt by Logan Johnstone. 7-3, Cougars leading it. Here in the bottom of the 8th. Miller trying to close out the inning. The 2-0 misses outside for ball 3. 3 straight balls thrown by Miller to start his outing in relief. Will Cresswell looking to draw a walk. He drew a walk earlier in the ball game back in the first and was able to come around to score. Let's see if he can't draw a walk number 2. Here's the pitch. Just catches the zone for strike 1. Miller able to battle back into this one. Hitters count for Will Cresswell. 3 balls, 1 strike, 1 runner on, 2 outs. A 7-3 Cougar lead late in this ball game. Hitters count. Is he swinging? Swung on, grounded up the middle, off the glove of Miller, who has to track it down, flip to first base in time to get the out. A 1-3 put out to catch Will Cresswell and finally get the Falcons out of this inning, but not before the Cougs bring 2 across, making it 7-3 as we move into the top of the 9th with Davis Hagen on the call. You're listening to Cougar Baseball on KUGR. Stay with us. We will be right back.
Through 8 full innings of baseball at Bailey Brayton Field on a Friday evening in Game 1 against Air Force, Washington State holds on to a 7-3 lead as we start the top of the 9th inning. The closer, Rylan Hyder, coming on to the mound for Washington State. Sidearm style pitcher after Trevor Stowe went 2/3 of an inning with 2 strikeouts. And the Falcons will have the bottom of the order and the second baseman, TJ Oster, and the 9-hole hitter, shortstop, Ben Neednagel, and then back to the top with the center fielder, Chase Spencer. Their 3 batters due up with a 4-run deficit for the Air Force Falcons, trying to climb back in this game, but Washington State has been totally in control of this game so far. 15 hits on the day. Air Force with just 11 hits on the day. So a 7-3 lead. And the leadoff batter, the second baseman, TJ Oster, coming up, who lined out to right field in the 7th inning, but has had 2 hits so far in the day. So here we go between Air Force and Washington State. In the top of the 9th inning, Cougars down 1 game in the standings to try to get to tied with 5th place. They are sitting at 8th place. The pitch from Hyder, bunt shown, pulled back. That's strike number 1 to TJ Oster. An all-important series for Washington State, trying to capture Game 1 at home against Air Force in this weekend series. as we start the month of May. The 0-1 pitch, ground ball to first. Shonsby fields it after 2 hops. Will step on the bag, and that's the first out of the inning. And Air Force is down to their final 2.
This is definitely a series that, there are only a few opportunities left for the Cougs to be able to get themselves back on track in the Mountain West. They have this series, and they have the series against UNLV, and then SDSU, who they sweeped earlier this year. But this is a team that the Cougs are really, they have a 100% have a chance to be able to win this series. So again, like I said, if you start the series off with a win tonight, that sets the tone for the next 2 games, and you possibly get a sweep.
Still holding on to a 4-run lead. The shortstop, Neednagel, the 9-hole hitter, up to bat, and the first pitch is ball 1 to start this at bat for Ben Neednagel. Air Force with 11 hits in this game, 1 error, but just 3 runs. Washington State with 7, and that's where we sit in the top of the 9th. The next pitch in for strike 1. Camp goes to 1-1 against Neednagel after the 3 unassisted by Oster, and Shonsby did a good job to step on the bag, quickly moving as Oster was trying to sprint it out to get anything going for this Air Force Falcons team. They're down to their final 2 outs. 1-1 count. Hyder with the pitch and a tip foul from Neednagel, and the count goes to 1-2. Washington State 15-28 overall, 8-13 in the Mountain West, trying to increase those numbers.
It's a situation right now where if you're Neednagel, it's kind of tough because you know your team's down by 4, not necessarily a huge lead, but it all starts with just getting that first run. But it's really hard to be the person to start it off and get that first run or get that first hit or something like that. So it's just a super stressful situation for Air Force.
1-2 count. The pitch from Hyder on the way, and it's popped into left field, and the catch is made by Jonah Scholl. He gets that one. On Tuesday, he had the error in the 10th inning. This time, he makes the grab, and he will get 5 from Logan Johnstone out in center field. Those two come together to celebrate that catch, and that's the second out of the inning, and Air Force is down to their final out, down by 4.
It's the small wins. If you're Jonah Scholl, you make a mistake like that on Tuesday, and you talk about being a goldfish in terms of for baseball. You just got to forget sometimes, just flush it, move on. And, right there makes a good play, get himself back into his groove. Chase
Spencer, the final out for Air Force. The pitch from Hyder right down the middle for strike number 1. In the 7th inning, Spencer grounded into a 6-4-3 double play that ended the inning. That was a big momentum boost for the Cougars. 7-3 lead, 0-1 count. The pitch to Spencer on the way. Check swing, and they're going to say he didn't go, and that's ball 1.
Rylan Hyder's just been a really good leverage arm for the Cougs so far this year, especially late in ball games, and there's no better person you want on the mound if you're the Cougs.
1-1 count. Here's the pitch to Spencer from Hyder. Ground ball to third is going to go foul. Northrup, the third baseman for Washington State, snagged it when it was foul, and will toss it back to Hyder on the mound. The count goes to 1-2.
I should say, too, that Kyler Northrup, as a freshman, is just looking really confident over at third base in the past few games and even today. It can be really easy as a freshman to get a little nervous, a little antsy, but he just looks really smooth and calm and collected.
A 1-2 count, 7-3 lead with 2 outs. No runners on for Air Force. This pitch is low, and the count goes to 2-2 against Spencer. Air Force trying to rally to get anything going, trying to avoid losing game 1 of the series to Washington State. The Cougars need it. It's a 2-2 count. Spencer stands in, righty on righty. The pitch from Hyder on the way. High fly ball out to left field. That's going to get down, and it could be extra bases for Chase Spencer. He's going to get to second standing up as Scholl will throw to the cutoff and the shortstop, Gavin Roy, and that's a double with 2 outs for the Air Force Falcons as they try to scrap and claw back into this game.
That's a stressful situation if you're Spencer and he comes up clutch for the Falcons with a little double into the left field corner. You could probably hear the crowd here has the chair chance, looking for that strikeout, looking to close out the game. There's just so much pressure on you, but one of the things you got to remind yourself if you're Spencer is that as much pressure as you have on yourself to perform, there's just as much pressure on Hyder to be able to perform. So he leaves the pitch over the heart of the plate, and Spencer takes advantage of it and just sends it into left field.
The catcher, Walker Zapp, trying to energize the Falcons and get them back in this game. A fresh count against Hyder with a runner on second, 2 outs. The pitch on the way, and that is outside for ball 1. So a 7-3 advantage for Washington State. in the top of the 9th inning. Air Force down to their final out. Spencer had 2 outs against him, was able to push the ball into deep left field and get a double. 1-0 count. The pitch from Hyder on the way. Right down the middle, and that's strike one. The count goes to 1-1.
One of the beautiful things about baseball is there's no clock. It just comes down to being able to get 3 outs in the bottom of the 9th, and that's where comebacks can happen, especially for Air Force. It's just one of the beautiful things about baseball.
4-run advantage for the Cougars. A 1-1 count. Top of the 9th. Pitch from Hyder. Foul ball down the first baseline. Count goes to 1-2. And now they are 1 strike away from winning the ball game.
If you're around Hyder, you were in the situation before with Spencer, so now it's just about not letting Zap kind of get away from you.
1-2 count. 2 outs. Runner on second. Air Force down by 4. Final out of the game. The pitch on the way from Hyder. And that is low for ball 2. The crowd doesn't like it. They wanted that one to be strike 3 and end the game.
Love a little crowd participation.
Now the count 2-2 with 2 outs. Runner on second. Air Force down 4. Hyder comes set on the mound. Zap comes set. Waving the bat around. In the box. A 2-2 pitch on the way. Ground ball. Chopper going to go foul down the third baseline. The count stays at 2-2.
Good battle right now by Zap with 2 strikes on him, just trying to stay alive. 2-strike hitting can make or break a game for a lot of these teams. So Zap's just doing a really good job, just trying to stay alive and just keep some fight up for the Falcons.
Air Force down 4. So Washington State with a decent cushion in the top of the 9th, but they want to end it right here. Zap steps back in. Toes on the chalk line. The right-handed batter, the right-handed pitcher. A 2-2 count with 2 outs. The pitch on the way from Hyder and a foul ball again. And the count stays at 2-2.
Crowd's going a little impatient with all these 2-strike counts.
This is going to be the 7th pitch of the at-bat to Walker Zap, who has struck out twice in this game. Once in the first inning swinging, and then in the 8th inning looking. Hyder trying to do it to him again. 2-2 count, 2 outs, runner on second. Air Force down 4. The pitch from Hyder on the way, and that is outside for ball 3. And the crowd being put through the gauntlet of pitches to end this game. Walker Zap trying to battle through. Now facing a full count from Hyder. 4-run lead for Hyder, trying to close it out. This pitch is outside for ball 4, and now Air Force has 2 runners aboard, and that will bring up Zach Peters, the right fielder.
Just great plate discipline there from Walker Zap in a situation where he fell behind, I believe, 1.12. Was able to work it back into a count where he's able to draw a walk. But, this is a high-pressure situation. This is a conference game, the start of the series. You're down by 4. But again, like we mentioned, baseball, there's no clock. Comebacks can happen all the time. So it's all about putting together at-bats like that.
Top of the 9th inning, 7-3 Cougars lead. The pitch a little bit high. Ball 1 to Zach Peters, the right fielder for Air Force. Had a double in the 8th, and that would be timely for the Falcons, but it would be devastating for Washington State. The pitch from Hyder on the way, and that is strike 1. The count goes to 1-1 against Peters with 2 runners on. They've got Spencer at second, Zap at first, so a 4-run deficit, so still not able to tie it yet, but with Trip Garish, the designated hitter, on deck, that could be the tying run if Peters is able to get aboard, and he tips this one foul, and the count goes to 1-2.
Hyder's been handed 2 times now where he could have slammed the door on this inning. Now this is the 3rd straight chance now with 2 strikes on him to possibly end this game. So it's all about executing.
Hyder trying to end it for Washington State. A 1-2 count, 2 outs, 2 runners on for Air Force. They're down 4. And Peters stands in, righty on righty. The 1-2 on the way, and this one is lined into left center field. That's going to get down, and here comes Spencer rounding for home. Walker Zap's going to come through, and that's 2 runs for the Air Force Falcons on a double by Zach Peters.
That's just a beautifully set up play right there. The runners on first and second both took off on the first move from Hyder. Hit and run situation. Just Peters gets it done with a double RBI. Puts this game within 2 runs now. I mean, still 2 outs is just such a stressful situation, but just Air Force is not showing any kind of, not really folding under the pressure.
And now a pinch hitter, J.D. Wolf from Bradenton, Florida, a freshman for the Air Force Falcons with a big spot. The tying run at the plate for Air Force. And Peters at second. The 0-0 pitch, and this one is skied into center field. Underneath it, Johnstone makes the grab and wins the game. Washington State wins it 7-5. Logan Johnstone makes the snag, and Air Force strands a runner at second and a tying run at the plate. They couldn't get it done, and the Cougars win it.
That's just a beautiful game put together by the Cougs. Luke Myers going 7 1/3. Trevor Stowe coming in to try and shut the door. And then Rylan Hyder coming in. Got into a little bit of trouble there in the ninth. I mean, gave up a couple of hits, let in 2 runs, made it 7-5. But still, at the end of the day, the Cougs able to hold out. And we mentioned it before at the very start that it was going to come down to whether or not the Cougs were able to put together a full 9 innings, and they were able to put together a full 9 innings today. They had 15 hits, no errors, were able to put up 7 runs. The hitting was there. The hitting was in clutch situations as well. So the Cougs basically just did everything they needed to do to be able to get themselves back on track. And just like how we said it's about playing a full 9 innings. Right now, it should be all about playing a full series. Win game 1, win game 2, and now win game 3. You're probably going to have either Griffin Smith or Nick Lewis going tomorrow, and then whoever didn't go starting game 3. So when the Cougs have Luke Myers, Nick Lewis, and Griffin Smith all starting those 3 games, that's a really deadly trio that the Cougs can kind of leverage in these kind of situations. I mean, a statement win to set the tone for the series. Pick up this win, close game, but the Cougs just trying to reset themselves back into Mountain West Conference play.
Luke Myers will get the win for Washington State. He moves to 5-2 on the year for the Cougars. 7 runs come across on 15 hits. And it's fireworks night for Washington State, and there was a lot of fireworks in this game. No home runs by either team, but just a bunch of short jabs, some daggers, a couple doubles by each team. Air Force had 5 runs on 13 hits, but Washington State in control for the entire game, and they don't let this one slip away. So a crucial win for Washington State to move to 9-13 to tie with Air Force now at 7th, and they are really in a good spot to maybe advance and win this series and vault themselves into the top 6 of this Mountain West Conference standings as they try to make a push for the postseason. That will do it from Bailey Brayton Field on this Friday evening. We want to thank you so much for joining us from KUGR and Smith Slye. I'm Davis Hagen saying so long. Enjoy your evening.